It's the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Chicago Bears, both teams with 2-0 records. And it should be a wild crowd because they love their football here in Minneapolis, and they think they are back. They think they're back because Bud Grant is back, and they beat the 49ers opening day. They came back last Sunday, and they beat Tampa Bay. So they're really fired up here in Minnesota. Bud Grant, of course, quit after the 1983 season, and the Vikings fell to 3-16 last year. So they at least are off to a good start. The Bears, of course, won the Central Division last year, and they lost to the 49ers in the NFC Playoff Championship. Here is Jim McMahon. They would love to have him in there tonight, but again, he had trouble in last Sunday's game. He was in traction right after the game. He has not worked out this week. Mike Ditka has told us through their intermediary that he will only see action if there is a catastrophe at quarterback. And deep for the Minnesota Vikings. That's Buster Rhymes. He's a rookie fourth-round pick out of Oklahoma, and set to kick off is Kevin Butler, another rookie, a fourth-round pick out of Georgia, the place kicker for the Bears. And Butler takes Rhymes into the end zone. Rhymes having problems with it there. I think he got confused as to where he was. He knew that if he was outside the goal line, he'd have to bring it upfield. He bobbled the ball into the end zone, and right away, starting deep in trouble, will be Minnesota. And out comes Tommy Kramer. And when he is on, he's as good as there is in football. We alluded to the game in 1982, and he was just tremendous in that game. There it is. 5 touchdown passes, absolutely dead solid perfect. Last year, a lot of troubles. Missed 9 games with a shoulder injury. Missed almost all of 1983 with a knee injury. But he's out there tonight. And it is a new team under Bud Grant, who out of the game for 1 year, was asked to come back by owner-president Max Winter. He did that. There you go with the one setback offense. That's Alfred Anderson, a second-year man from Baylor. Kramer. And they will probably blow the whistle. Kramer was in the arms of Dan Hampton. And let's see, will they mark it an incomplete pass? They could very well have blown the whistle and put the ball inside the 5-yard line. All right, let's take a look at the defensive unit. 4 down linemen, but it changes a great deal. The best defense in football a year ago. They were just amazing, giving up only 241 yards a game. They get into what they call a 4-6, but they do not have 2 of the key players that made that 4-6 so famous last year, but they do have defensive coordinator Buddy Curry. 2nd down and 10 now for the Minnesota Vikings. Anderson over the left side. He is stacked up. Richard Dent, Dan Hampton, they were both there, and you can better believe that Mike Singletary is going to get a lot of calls tonight. One of the best middle linebackers in all of football. So it's Tommy Kramer looking at a defense of the Chicago Bears that had 72 sacks last year. That's an NFL record, and that 241 that they allowed per team to gain. The only other team that was under 300 were the Cleveland Browns. Just an amazing defensive year a year ago. 3rd down and 8. Tommy Kramer. A strong arm, but he has not been going deep thus far in the 2 games the Vikings have played. Flag is down. Kramer underthrows. Anderson out of the backfield, but again, a flag is down at the line of scrimmage. Our referee tonight is Dick Jorgensen. And there was movement at the line of scrimmage. Offside, indicated against the Bears. The down will remain the same. So it'll be a 3rd down and about 3. There is Mike Ditka, now in his 4th year. Former great player with these Chicago Bears. Last year, guided the Bears to their first championship of any sort since 1963, when they won the NFL championship, beating the New York Giants. How well I remember.
I'm still puzzled why they didn't call it into grasp, and that should have been a sack on Kramer on 1st down.
You certainly had Dan Hampton draped all over him. 3rd down and 3. Kramer back. Gets time, trying to get it deep, and almost had that picked off. A great move by Leo Lewis, reaching over Dave Durison to avoid the interception. Good move, O.J.
Excellent move. As you know, Leo Lewis had a good game on Monday Night Football for us one time last year. He is not open on this play, so I'm a little surprised Kramer went to him, but he did an excellent job of playing defense, got in there and prevented the interception.
Dave Durison in that lineup because Todd Bell, the all-pro safety, remains a holdout for these Bears. Greg Coleman punts away. This is Ken Taylor, a rookie from Oregon State. And Taylor is going to get the Bears really fine field position inside the 45 of the Minnesota Vikings. A 49-yard punt and a 21-yard return. And let's meet the offensive unit of the Chicago Bears. Out comes Steve Fuller. We told you about him. We watched him in San Diego. He made 4 starts a year ago, and then of course he was the quarterback of record throughout the playoffs. We had him on his 4th start in San Diego. He was hurt in that. They trotted out Rusty Leash, who started at 2 in the next game. Peyton, as a matter of fact, played quarterback in the next game, and then they brought in Greg Landry for the season's finale. They won both of those games, by the way, to win the Central Division and then move on to the NFC Championship. First down and 10, the Bears, 44-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings show a blitz, and Walter Payton, with sore ribs and all, moves inside the 40-yard line. Gain of almost 4. Call it 3. It'll be 2nd and 7 as we take a look at the 3-4 that the Vikings play a lot of. They're going to play a lot of 4-3 tonight. I think Bud Grant likes to go back to it. He more or less is more familiar with the 4-3 than the 3-4. And of course, the big man is Scott Studwell, number 55 at linebacker. He annually leads these Vikings in tackles. 2nd and 7. Steve Fuller, who was a starter for 3 years with Kansas City before being traded to the Rams in '83. So what we have out here is not an inexperienced quarterback, it's Steve Fuller. That's Dennis Johnson just submarining under, and Peyton is held for about a yard. It'll be 3rd and 5, and it should put Steve Fuller into his first passing situation.
I think it's a good move that they're running Walter earlier in the game tonight, because Minnesota is aware that Walter has those sore ribs, and they may be trying to rough him up a little bit. And Chicago wants Minnesota to realize that Walter is healthy. He wouldn't be playing if he didn't think he can play, and they're running him early to let them know that, hey, they're going to see a lot of Walter tonight.
And on 3rd and 5, Bud Grant drops into a 4-down lineman. Elshire, Martin, Mullaney, and Millard are the 4-down linemen. They'll try to pressure Fuller. There's a lot of time. And Fuller hook slides at the line of scrimmage. He had a lot of time. A flag is down, and maybe there was a little bit of a late hit against Fuller. Something happened. Here's Dick Jorgensen. Before the snap, offense. Well, we didn't see the flag until it was very late, but a delay of game is called against the Bears.
And that's why Steve went to the ground. Steve obviously heard the whistle when no one else did, and he just simply went down. A good move on Steve's part.
The Vikings are 2-0. They beat San Francisco on opening day, bringing football back to Minnesota, if you will. They were 3-16, as I mentioned, a year ago. They beat San Francisco 28-21. Then they beat Tampa Bay this past Sunday 31-16. They have brought in 4 wide receivers. Bears backed up 5. Down remains the same. Ken Marjoram, the former All-American from Stanford, joins Willie Gault, the world-class speedster, number 83 for the Bears. Dennis McKinnon, the other wide receiver, along with Brad Anderson. 3rd down and 10. Fuller dumps it off to Peyton in the open field. Peyton takes off 1 tackler, Joey Browner, but he is taken short of the first down, just inside the 40-yard line. It'll be 4th down.
Looked to me as Steve made his mind up a bit early that time. Minnesota was in the zone coverage, and Browner just simply dropped off to get Walter. I think he just threw it too soon.
Punting unit for the Bears, and that means Maury Buford, who won this job in training camp, the all-time leading kicker for the San Diego Chargers, and the Bears gave away a 12th-round draft pick to get Buford. Darren Nelson, who does a little bit of everything for the Vikings and likes to do it all. Former Stanford grade is drop back. Number 1 draft pick 3 years ago. Buford, of course, will be looking for the corner, either left or right, and Nelson will be trying to guess with him. It's off the side of Buford's foot, and not a good kick at all. In fact, not a good kick. There will be about a 15-yard pickup on this. So the Vikings, with their first possession, inside their 10-yard line, get a break as Maury Buford gets one off the side of his foot. It'll be the Vikings ball at their own 19-yard line, 1st and 10. Back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, the Minnesota Vikings at the 19-yard line, 1st down and 10. And after they knocked off San Francisco in the opener here, this town really got turned upside down. Bud Grant, who took the year off, came back, replaced Les Steckel, who was here for a 3-13 season a year ago. But the Vikings have really not done it themselves. The teams have done it to the Vikings. Vikings have had 12 turnovers, and they had 7 against the 49ers, and they won going away at 28-21. First down and 10. Tommy Kramer back. Has a lot of time. Dumps it off. That's the tight end, Steve Jordan, and Jordan is close to a Viking first down as Dave Dorison made the stop.
But Jordan started out blocking on the play because there was an overship toward him. And after he let go of the man that was rushing, he simply fell off, and he was an outlet man there, and that's why they gave the yardage.
You know, it looked as though Tommy Kramer had a lot of time, but I think he was anticipating he was not going to have a lot of time because, as I mentioned, these Bears had 72 sacks a year ago, and he might just have been a little antsy getting out of that pocket a little early. In any event, the first down is made by Steve Jordan. Vikings up close to their own 30-yard line. 4.5 minutes have elapsed here in the first quarter. No score as we watch Alfred Anderson, who had started off really well in his rookie season a year ago and has kind of slowed down from a fast start as a rookie. We saw him, OJ, against the Redskins last year, and he had a tremendous night.
Yes, he was running hard and positive, but I think he took a little beating last year. He sort of wore down as his season went on. Now, on that first play, that was an ugly play that they got for a first down, but that's the only way Minnesota will be able to win tonight. They're going to have individual efforts like that. It may not be pretty, but that's what they're going to have to win.
It's a Bud Grant football team. The offense is directed by Jerry Burns. He's been with Grant for a lot of years. Tommy Kramer's back on 2nd and 9. Picked off. That's Leslie Frazier. So the Bears almost got the turnover on the first series. This time they do get it, and Frazier brings it all the way back to the 38-yard line. Kramer upset with that one. He knew that was not one he should have let go. Let's take a look at it from his position, Joe.
Well, it's a nice play action fake, but I'm afraid this is a pass that Tommy wish he wouldn't have thrown. He just simply throws a bad pass right into the defender's hands.
Well, Leslie Frazier has given the Bears the first turnover of the night, and the Bears are at the 37-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. More than 5 minutes to play. Bears almost got an interception on the Vikings' first possession. So maybe Kramer a little shaky getting started here tonight. Peyton in the tailback spot for the Bears. Fuller reading the blitz. I believe it was an automatic. He goes to Galt. Galt gets the first down at the 25-yard line. There is Leslie Frazier, fine cornerback. He had a 29-yard touchdown of an interception last Sunday off Steve DeBerg against Tampa Bay.
Again, looking back at that last interception, we wonder why a quarterback of Kramer's stature throws an interception like that, and I just have to believe he simply didn't see. These offensive and defensive linemen are mighty big.
Jumping around a little in that pocket also. Bears can make you do that. At the 25-yard line, 1st and 10. This is Peyton following Matt Suhey. And Walter Payton, every time he gets a yard, is tacked on to his all-time rushing record. He's well over 13,000, coming in tonight at 13,468 yards. But I think the most remarkable thing about Walter, OJ, you would know better than I, he has started 139 consecutive games. Now, for a running back to do that, considering Dorsett is the next closest to him at 67, that's truly amazing.
It's a testament to Walter's conditioning. This guy works out harder than anybody, and he goes in the game in the proper frame of mind all the time.
31 years old, Walter Payton. That's the time remaining in the first quarter. No score. 2nd down and 6. The ball near the 20-yard line of the Vikings. McKinnon in motion. Willie Galt. And Galt with that great speed just explodes inside the 10-yard line, down close to the 8-yard line before he's tackled by Studwell. Willie Galt only has had 5 receptions in the first 2 games. They've hit him twice already tonight.
What a beautiful play this is. Mark Ports and Jim Covert get out there on the screen pass, and it looked like a couple of Mack trucks coming downfield. I'd get out of their way, too, if I was a defensive back.
And Willie Galt, of course, would have, perhaps had he not signed the contract with the Bears, would have perhaps represented our country in the Olympics as either a sprinter or a hurdler in 1984. Peyton is strong, struggles to the 6-yard line. Gets about 2.5 out of it.
That's typical Walter. He always looked like a pinball machine to me, like a ball bouncing around. I don't think there's ever been a great running back that gets hit as much as Walter, but he is so strong and he's so competitive. He just bounced off guys and break tackles.
It's the first game many years ago. And right now, Walter has traveled on the ground over 7 miles, if you can believe that. And considering how he's averaging a little over 4 yards a pop, he's gone over 7 miles, getting knocked down every 4.5 yards. Fuller, the old option play, trying to get it out to the outside to Matsui. He did not do so. Gets inside the 5-yard line where it'll be 3rd down, goal to go.
Fuller made the right decision on that play by keeping the ball. Willie Till, number 37 from Minnesota, made an excellent play tackling.
So sure, Joe, I'd be running that if I only have one veteran quarterback. One of them's a rookie from Ohio State sitting on the bench. Vince Lombardi once put that play in with the Giants. When he first came, Charlie Connolly would never run it.
Charlie was always a smart quarterback.
It was in our game plan every week. No way Charlie was going to run that. Well, I don't know whether they're complaining because of the sound. Apparently, Steve Fuller feels that his teammates cannot hear. And being a 3rd down and goal to go at the 4-yard line, he probably is concerned that he might have to come up with an automatic down there. And we wanted to make sure everyone could hear it. Well, I can guarantee you it's going to be a lot louder when he goes back up to the line of scrimmage. Interesting. We have a piece coming up at halftime. I think you'll find quite interesting, dealing with the use of radio headsets and microphones by the quarterback. They experimented with it in spring training this past season, as they did with also video replays of calls. And we understand there is a movement alive now to bring that back for the playoffs this year. Well, they're trying to quiet the crowd. We had a play, as a matter of fact, reversed out in San Francisco in a preseason game. And Dick Schaap is going to talk about those 2 experiments during the preseason at halftime. Very interesting piece. 3rd down, goal to go. There's Mike Ditka looking on. And he was playing. He'd walk up there and get it on with him. Well, there's nothing anyone can really do about it. It's just kind of sad. I think Steve Fuller is just going to go ahead and run the play.
No, Steve's a veteran. He's been around. He's not going to make the mistake of snapping the ball or have the ball snapped with the noise going on.
And the Viking players are trying to quiet it down.
There really isn't that much noise at this point. Now we're starting to get some.
Now we have a different decibel count. They're beginning to boo Steve Fuller. Steve Fuller stepping away once again. 3rd down, goal to go, in case you forgot. Walter Payton. Payton slowed up first by Elshire, and then he turns right into the pursuit, and he'll lose a couple of yards, and we will see Kevin Butler.
Well, that's typical of Minnesota this year. They've given up a lot of yards. They've been outgained by both teams that they played previous to the night, but when they get down around their own goal line, they toughen up, and they make the big play defensively.
Here's Kevin Butler, the rookie 4th-round draft pick out of Georgia. Had a great career at Georgia. Did some miraculous things. Whole bunch of NCAA records that he set. He's 3 of 5 thus far in 2 games, and this will be a 24-yard attempt. Fuller, the quarterback, is the holder. And Fuller with a good hold. That ball was low. He spun it around, got the laces forward, got it up, and Butler makes good from 24 yards out. And we have our first score of the game. 24-yard field goal by Kevin Butler. George Buster Rhymes is deep for the Minnesota Vikings. They are down by 3. Set to kick off is Kevin Butler.
Well, he was leading the NFL until that last kickoff return that opened the game. At about 8 yards on that one.
And he just about got himself benched on it, too. Made a mistake right at the goal line. I don't think he knew whether he was in the end zone or out of it. Bobbled the ball and got it back out to about the 3 or 4 yard line. Butler with a fine kick. Puts Rhymes in the corner once again at the 2 yard line. Browns found a little opening out over the 30-yard line to the 31. Hit there by Cliff Thrift. 29-yard return. And well, the Vikings were 28th and dead last on defense a year ago. These were their last 6 games. First time in NFL history a team lost 6 games in a row by 30 or more points. That's hard to do, really.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There was a lot of people that felt in training camp last year when they were going through that boot camp of Les Steckel that it would show at the end of the season, and it certainly did.
They gave up 30 points or more in the final 6 games. At the 31-yard line, 1st and 10, the Minnesota Vikings. Anderson, Darren Nelson, the setbacks. Anderson 46, Nelson is 20. Kramer's in trouble. Steps back into the pocket and fires. Gets it to the tight end, Steve Jordan, and Jordan has made another big play. He has a Viking first down up close to midfield. They'll mark it at the 48-yard line, and Kramer made it happen, Joe.
Oh, I like these play-action fakes on the first down, play-action passes. You see our tight end, Jordan, running across underneath the linebackers. The Bears are playing run that time. I hope they throw more passes on first down.
There's Jordan. 4th year out of Brown. Leading receiver coming in to tonight in the first 2 games. At the 48-yard line, 1st down, Minnesota. Now for Anderson, and Anderson hit right at midfield, gets a couple of yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8. The Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. The Vikings with this man back, Bud Grant, now in his 18th year. Took the Vikings to 4 Super Bowls in the first 17 years of his first tenure here. 11 Central Division championships. I'm Frank Gifford along with Joe Namath and O.J. Simpson. And only score thus far in the game, if you've just joined us, a 24-yard field goal by the Chicago Bears, Kevin Butler. The Bears on top 3-0. Both teams with 2-0 records early in the season. On 2nd and 8, Kramer dinks it to Darren Nelson, who makes 2 good moves. And Nelson, that'll be about 4 of the toughest yards he'll ever pick up. Hammered twice. Short of the first down, but it will be about 4 yards short. A good effort by Nelson.
Yes, that's what they're trying to do. Take advantage instead of running on 1st and 2nd down. Get the short passes and hope people like Nelson can make something happen. Nelson did the best he could on that play, but got to say something about that Bear swarming defense.
You won't see Mike Singletary miss many tackles, and that is a good swarming defense. They rallied around the ball.
Darren Nelson. Brilliant career at Stanford, #1 draft pick here in 1982. Big year in 83. Over 600 yards as Tommy Kramer goes up on top on 3rd and 5. And wide open, Mike Jones. Jones attracts a lot of Bears, but not until he gets the first down inside the 35-yard line. Mike Singletary all the way back there to be in on the tackle. Look at him again. 3rd year out of Tennessee State. Last year was a starter, and of course has been replaced this year by Anthony Carter, the Michigan All-American. But Jones with a good move. Now look, he spins back and he spun right into Mike Singletary. That'll get your attention and rattle your teeth. 33-yard line, 1st down. Carter, number 81, split to the right. Leo Lewis up at the top of your screen, number 87. Darren Nelson. Good running again by Nelson. Hit hard, but he squirms up to the 30 for a gain of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7. Ted Brown comes into the game, number 23. Good receiver out of the backfield, Ted Brown. Darren Nelson also a fine receiver out of the backfield. Kramer keeps getting away from Bears. Tries to get it to Brown down the sidelines. Durison, who probably has the same scouting report that we have, knew that Brown would like to work out of the backfield, and Kramer is genuinely upset.
Well, I think he took a lick a little late that time, at least in Tommy's mind. Richard Dent got back there. You know, going back to the first pass of the game when we talked about the in the grasp rule. Now let's watch Dent here. He's on the right side of your screen.
Richard Dent, number 95.
Well, I guess we won't get to see it. But in the grasp rule means that the defender must have control of the quarterback.
3rd and 6, shotgun for Minnesota and Tommy Kramer. Again, pressure. Fires it, gets it to Mike Jones again, and Jones will have another first down. And Tommy Kramer is beginning to find the mark, and he has been chased out of the pocket almost on each occasion. Well, Kramer
Kramer is beginning to look like a former Viking Fran Tarkenton. I didn't realize he was this adept at scrambling in the pocket, but he's done an excellent job of finding and making time for himself, finding his receiver and getting the ball to them. Another ugly play, but it's working.
But effective. More than 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Bears leading the Minnesota Vikings 3-0. Both teams undefeated in the early going of this 1985 season. Darren Nelson. Got a block from Brown, but that pursuing Bear defense holds it just inside the 15-yard line. A gain of a couple. Mike Hartenstein, the defensive left end for the Bears, the key man on the stop.
Well, they ran that time just into the strength of the defense. The Bears' defensive line was overshifted to the strong side. They had 3 big linemen over there. And then, of course, Dave Dorison, as you mentioned, came across the line of scrimmage and turned him in.
2nd down and 8. I mentioned that Todd Bell, the all-pro safety for the Bears, remains a holdout, as does Al Harris, a fine defensive linebacker. Bears unable to come to terms with those 2 players. 2nd and 8. Kramer's back again. This time Kramer will not get away from McMichael. They've been pressuring almost every play. This time they got Tommy back at the original line of scrimmage. As a matter of fact, they'll lose from the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down and 11.
Well, you credit Richard Dent on that play, number 95, because Kramer wanted to go to Leo Lewis. Leo was open. Dent beat his man at the line of scrimmage, and he jumped up in the air and took the passing lane away from Kramer.
That's the first time this season that Tommy has been sacked.
3rd down and 11, and a tough down. This is when the Bears, who love to rush the passer, just pin their ears back, turn it all loose. They have the 4 down linemen, as you can see. Dent, Hampton, McMichael, and Hartenstein. Kramer dancing around, trying to find a receiver. He does, gets it to Mike Jones. Jones will be close to a 1st down. Perhaps short. Finsick and Sean Gale made the stop on Jones, but again, Kramer, with all kinds of pressure, all kinds of Bears all around him, was able to get it off, and I think they're going to be just a little bit short, perhaps a yard short of the 1st down to bring up 4th down, and will we see Jan Stenerud? Out he comes.
The old fella.
Most prolific field goal kicker in the history of the game at 42 years old. He has now kicked 359 of these little jobs. And a lot of big jobs in there, too.
I'll never forget my rookie season. He was in the league a few years at that point. And in Buffalo, we played against Kansas City. And he kicked 10 field goals in the 2 games that we played him. Beat us both times with field goals.
Good athlete. Born in Norway, was a good ski jumper. 20 of 23 last year, 9 of 9 from the 40 or inside. Greg Coleman survives the snap. And we have a tie game with 11 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Stenerud is good from 25 yards. Earlier, the Bears were good from 24. We'll be back in a moment. There's a sellout for tonight's game. That's nothing new here in Minnesota. They've been selling out for many years. Had a brief setback a year ago with a 3-13 record, but they feel they're back on the track with Bud Grant back as head coach, walking the sideline once again. Willie Gault has dropped deep for the Bears. He's back there with Dennis Gentry. Gault, out of the University of Tennessee, came within 1 of an NCAA record returning kickoffs for touchdowns. He had 5. Anthony Davis of USC had 6. This is Gentry. They kick away from Gault. Not surprising. And Gentry up close to the 30-yard line, hit there by Carl Lee. It'll be 1st and 10, the Chicago Bears. 1st and 10 at the 30-yard line, the Bears in a 3-3 ball game with just 3 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Fuller, this is Payton. And Payton always seems to know just about where he is. Did not juke around a whole lot then. He wanted the 1st down. He's very close to it as he's hit by David Howard. And there is the end of the first quarter with a score tied at 3. We'll be back at the Metrodome in just a few moments. Vikings and the Bears, both of the Central Division. They used to call it the Black and Blue Division. They have struggled over the past few years. And there is quarterback Jim McMahon. I think he really genuinely felt he was going to play tonight, Joe.
He told me that nothing would keep him from playing in this football game tonight. Well, he must have forgotten about Coach Mike Ditka. Obviously, Mike has other ideas. Mike is a firm believer that the man has to practice during the week to be ready for the game, and Jim simply couldn't practice.
There's Mike Ditka looking out as quarterback Steve Fuller, who has replaced Jim McMahon, looks over a 2nd down and 10. Fuller fires underneath and is complete. Goes to his tight end, Emory Moorhead, and Moorhead has a bare first down. He's in Viking territory near the 47.
Look for Moorhead to be quite active tonight. This Chicago team, normally when McMahon is in there, he doesn't go to the tight end too often, but they say when Fuller is in there, he'll throw to the backs and the tight end a little more often, and it's paying off here in the 2nd quarter with Moorhead, who we saw open all night in the game that we had Chicago and Dallas in the preseason.
It was a well-thrown ball. Chris Martin had Moorhead covered like a blanket, and Fuller hit him absolutely in stride and kept the ball out of Chris Martin's reach. The first down is inside the 47-yard line of the Vikings. This is Matsui. Walter Payton with the block out front. It was Tim Newton sliding out, big Tim Newton, from his nose tackle position to take part in that tackle. Gain of a couple. It'll be 2nd down and 8 as we look at the first quarter stats. There's a lot of jockeying back and forth. Minnesota with a slide edge. And we have a 3-3 game.
You know, this is the 3rd straight play, and only the first 3 plays that Minnesota's used a 3-4 defense, and they've crossed up the Bears, I believe, in their running game.
I think Bud Grant kind of likes that 4-3. He'll go with whatever he has in terms of personnel. No question. A fine coach over the years.
He's back to the 4-3 now.
2nd down and 8. Moorhead, number 87, in motion. The blitz is on. Fuller with a lot of time trying to get the ball to Willie Gault, and Willie Teal was right with him, and that's a tough man to stay with. He is at 9-0 speed.
Well, Gault appeared to have good position on Teal. If Fuller could have gotten the ball out front, I think Willie would have ran away from Teal and wouldn't got it, but it wasn't a well-thrown pass. Willie didn't make a particularly good adjustment to the ball either.
3rd down and 8. Dennis McKinnon, 85. Ken Marjoram, good receiver underneath. Number 82 is in there, along with Willie Gault. We'll watch Fuller from the shotgun. Payton is the checkoff man, and Fuller goes to him. This time Walter can't break it loose. They like to dump it off to Walter because he's such a good open field runner, but that time Joey Browner, who's off to a tremendous year here in Minnesota, made the stop right up there in Walter's face. Browner with 1 interception and a 15-yard touchdown run against Tampa Bay. He recovered 3 fumbles against San Francisco, and that tied an NFL record for fumbles recovered in a single game. He's back where he belongs. They're leaving him in one position, and he's turning into a major star, Joey Browner. Mari Buford, you had a quick look at Darren Nelson. Used to do a lot of this at Stanford. All-around athlete at Stanford. That's 3 years for over 1,000 yards, and also 3 consecutive years of 50 receptions or more. This time they let it bounce, and it is killed close to the 10-yard line by Calvin Thomas, who was hustling down. Nobody has done it as well and as long as this man. All-time leading rusher. It really is amazing, but the NFC Central Division not been one of your tougher divisions over the past few years. They've had a combined record of 102 wins and 161 losses and 2 ties to teams from outside of their division. And Detroit, of course, the other team that has a 2-0 record. Last year, Central Division teams played, what did they play? 39 teams outside of the division. They won 11 and lost 28. 1st and 10, Minnesota, and Kramer is back again. Leo Lewis is there at the 20-yard line, short of the first down. Leslie Frazier on the coverage. Yeah, they got some slight outside receivers. Over on the right side is Anthony Carter, the USFLer. He had such a great career with first Michigan, then at Oakland. He's 5'11", 162 pounds, and Leo Lewis is 5'8", 172, as Dick Jorgensen is going to call for a measurement. But they will come across the middle. OJ mentioned But a moment ago, the Leo Lewis had a big game against the Redskins last year. We know what Anthony Carter can do.
Well, you know Leo Lewis has to be a favorite of Bud Grant, as it appears they have the first down. Bud played with his father up in Canada, and his father was Leo Sr., is a member of the Canadian Hall of Fame. Football Hall of Fame, that is.
But, of course, he's not in the Hall of Fame, and I assume he is. Should be. He had a great coaching record in 10 years at Winnipeg, winning the Grey Cup 4 times. He was All-Pro up there for 4 years, having been All-Pro in the NFL back in 1952 as a wide receiver. First down, Minnesota. Alfred Anderson turns right into a rather violent collision at the line of scrimmage. Squeaks maybe a yard out of it. Dan Hampton was there initially, and coming up quickly was Gary Fensick.
Garrick and Dave Durison kind of swapped positions that time just before the snap of the ball. The Strom safety went into the hole, and Fensick came all the way up. It must have confused someone with the Minnesota offense.
So they'll do that a lot. Sometimes they'll switch positions, the defensive back with a down lineman, and you'll find people like Dave Hampton, a defensive end at 267 pounds, trying to cover a receiver.
They'll tell you, only Buddy Curry knows what they're doing. That could well be. Buddy Ryan, rather, the defensive coordinator. Second down and 9. Kramer in trouble again. They've really been pressuring Kramer, and now a flag goes down. It was McMichael getting to Tommy Kramer.
Intentional grounding, number 9, offense, 10-yard penalty, and loss of down.
That's a tough one.
Third down.
That loss of down really kills you.
That's one of the worst penalties in football, and why it happens, I don't know. I played football 13 years professionally, had one intentional grounding penalty called on me, and I literally hit George Sauer in the foot with the ball. It was a bad call.
That's why you're walking on the knees that you're walking on, Joe.
You got a point there.
Third down and 20. Ted Brown, good receiver out of the backfield. He's the single back. They give him the draw play. Breaks one tackle, but he doesn't get away from Hartenstein and held far short of first down yardage, and the punting unit will come on.
Well, Minnesota realized they can't get anything consistently going against this defensive team. What they have to do is when they get penalties like that or get sacked, not panic. Just wait for the big play later on.
Well, Minnesota stopped themselves a couple of times with the interception, and he threw it right to the back, and of course here with the penalty.
Here's Greg Coleman to punt. Dennis McKinnon, the wide receiver, is back for the Bears. Coleman hits it low. McKinnon steps up and takes it at the 43-yard line. Good move by McKinnon. Stepped right up, pulled the special teams that was coming down the field right into him, and then tried to get it to the outside, and he almost broke a big one. Chris Dolman, the #1 draft pick, is there for Minnesota to make the stop. So once again, good field position for the Bears at the 49 of the Vikes. Back in Minneapolis as Steve Fuller steps into the Bears huddle. First down and 10. The Bears inside the 49-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. 10:23 remaining in the half, with the score tied at 3. A pair of field goals. That's all the scoring thus far in a hard-hitting defensive game thus far. Fuller's the quarterback in relief of Jim McMahon, who has a neck spasm and a back spasm, could not start tonight. Fuller. There's one loose to Willie Galt, and Galt will have another Bear first down near the 30-yard line. John Turner made the stop as Keith Nord, we understand, might possibly have a broken thumb. He would be the free safety ordinarily, but John Turner is in there now.
They're giving Willie a lot of room here, and Willie has gotten some criticism over the years that he doesn't come back to the ball. He doesn't catch these types of passes well. He's caught 3 thus far this game, and I think what they're doing is trying to set him up for the big play later on.
Willie Teal, of course, giving Willie Galt a lot of room. Galt, world-class sprinter at Tennessee, tremendous speed. And he gets a Bear first down near the 30-yard line. Fuller back once again. Goes to the tight end, the rookie out of UCLA. That's Tim Reitman. Made this team in training camp with a couple of good efforts. Picks up 4 yards. It'll bring up second down and 6.
Well, Minnesota's gone back to that 3-4 defense and they're just getting ready to change right now. I see they're bringing out some more linemen to play the 4-3. But the pass completion to Galt, his defensive people didn't give Willie Teal any help. He had no underneath help at all, and that's why Galt was so open underneath.
That's the time remaining in the half. We're tied at 3. Fuller is looking over a second down and 6. Vikings continue with 4 down linemen. There was movement, but no flags. Walter Payton. And Payton will have a Bear first down, doing his thing. And I'll tell you, if you're young and you're playing this game, don't do what he does. Just watch it and enjoy it, because Walter carries that ball like only he can carry it, and he's not a fumbler. Over the years, he has mastered that. He uses it for his own balance. He carries it in not only the wrong side, but in one hand.
Yeah, it is on the wrong side. Normally, you want your body between the ball and the defense, but Walter has been doing it for, what, 13, 14,000 yards thus far, so I don't think it's our place to criticize him.
Heading on towards 14,000 yards with Walter Payton, looking for his 100th touchdown. He needs 2. He could get it tonight on 1st and 10. This is Calvin Thomas. Thomas is stacked up after he gets inside the 15, close to the 14. Gain of 2. It'll be 2nd and 8. Chris Dolman, the rookie first-round draft pick from Pittsburgh, was in on that stop.
Well, we're reaching the Vikings' comfort zone right here, believe it or not. They've been giving up yards to their previous 2 opponents. The 49ers had 29 first downs against this team, but somehow when they get near the Minnesota goal line, they'll come up with that big play. So let's see if they can do it again.
2nd and 8. Bears have beaten the Vikings 3 straight in this Central Division rivalry of the NFC. Everyone in the pattern, both backs are out, and that means Fuller is going to have to hurry it. He tried to get it off. Mullaney was right there. They are going to say this time he was in the grasp.
Joe, I don't understand it. They play ball when they get their backs to the goal line.
Well, they say the rule again is if the defender has the man in the grasp and has control of him, well, what is control? Fuller still gets the pass off here, and number 80, Tim Reitman, nearly caught it. Fuller's still struggling. Well,
he was in the grasp.
He sure was.
Question. And the sack is back at the 22-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 15. Moorhead, Brad Anderson, 86. McKinnon, 85. Those are the wide receivers, along with Willie Gault, 83, and Ken Marjoram, 82. And Fuller works from the shotgun. Payton will look for the blitz. If it doesn't come, he'll drift into the flat as a checkoff. And did he run out of time?
Oh, it looked like a little movement by that offensive line, but could be too much time.
False start, number 79, offense. Still 3rd down.
That's Kurt Becker. He's in there playing hurt. Probably looking for a little bit of an edge. He has a bruised tailbone. 7:38 remaining here in the half. The Bears and the Vikings. They're tied at 3. Hard-hitting game. Nothing dramatic on offense, but it has provided some really tough hitting, as it usually does. We're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations to identify themselves. Third down, long yardage. The ball after the penalty back at the 27-yard line. They need to get to the 6 for a first down.
Watch for Gault here.
Going deep for Gault. And it's picked off.
Once again.
Good effort. Carl Lee was back there. He started as a free safety, lost that job this year to Keith Nord. Nord is out of there tonight. Lee came in and roaming about from free safety. He gets the intercept.
Certainly a bad decision on Steve Fuller's part. They had an opportunity for 3 points down here in close. They had 2 men that time covering Gault. Throw the ball away. Don't put it up for grabs. You were outnumbered over there in the corner.
Another turnover for the Vikings. They had 12 in their first 2 games. 7 times they got it from San Francisco, 5 times from Tampa Bay.
I just have to believe that Jim McMahon would make a difference in this game, and I'm sure the Chicago Bears feel that way. They're certainly not going to give up on Fuller, but McMahon has a way of making things happen out there. Good things, positive things.
Lee with the interception, and the Vikings have the ball near their own 20-yard line on the touchback. Just inside. That's a lateral, and it goes to Darren Nelson. He handles it. Good move on the outside, and Nelson out over the 25 to the 26. Gain of 6 as Otis Wilson provided the stop. Darren Nelson, 5'9", 185-pounder. He did so many brilliant things at Stanford University. They use him in a lot of ways here. He was Bud Grant's #1 pick in 1982. Had a tough year last year, but in '83 was spectacular. 2nd down and 4. Once again, a reminder at halftime, we'll be talking with Eric Dickinson. We'll be talking to him live, and we'll be watching him Monday night against the Seahawks. Kramer. Anthony Carter was floating around down in the area, but Kramer had to release that ball long before Carter that made his break.
Now that was the problem that time. Anthony Carter just waited too long to make his break, and of course Tommy had to release it. It looked like Carter was open, but it was way too late.
Yeah, that's a pretty gutsy call, whoever is making the call, and I assume Jerry Burns, he usually does from the sidelines, but I think that the pressure that Tommy's been getting throughout this entire first half might preclude trying to go up too deep. He had to hurry that one. 3rd down and 4 from the shotgun. Here come the folks. And Kramer, seeing that they were coming, has to hurry it. He underthrows Leo Lewis. It's 4th down. We'll see the punter, Greg Coleman.
Yeah, Tommy is certainly upset with himself. He had him wide open. He read the coverage beautifully. Just threw a lousy pass.
And a tough couple of years, as I mentioned. Started only 9 last year, missed 13 in 83. But when he was healthy, 79, 80, 81, he shattered a lot of records up here. Big records set by Fran Tarkenton. He can get very hot. Here's Greg Coleman. McKinnon respecting Coleman. He bobbles the ball. Coleman still bobbles the ball. A flag is down. The ball is covered by the Bears. John Gale has the football, but a flag is down at the line of scrimmage.
Was recovered by them.
Illegal formation. Offense, only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Decline. 1st down.
Another turnover for the Vikings, and here in the early part of the season, they've been living on it. They really have. They've been outgained 838 yards to 530. They've averaged only 2.6 rushing, and they've allowed 5.6 against them, but they now have 14 turnovers. And that's the first fumble, we understand, of Greg Coleman's career. And perhaps the first time he kicked it in that particular position. Dive on that football. 1st down and 10. Payton. An idea of just how strong Payton is. He just hammers his way for a couple of extra yards to the 15-yard line, gets 7 out of it. It'll be 2nd down and 3, and there's Sean Gale. Fine-looking defensive back prospect in his 2nd year out of Ohio State. They use him a lot back there as a 5th back. 2nd and 3 as Walter Payton pounds his way to the 15-yard line. Top of your screen is Dennis McKinnon. Willie Gault is to the right. Walter Payton. And Payton near the 5-yard line. They'll mark it at the 6. John Turner there defensively for the Vikings. And it'll be 1st down, goal to go.
The thing you got to like about Walter is that when he gets near the goal line, he never wastes any yards. A lot of backs would cut outside here, get tackled. Walter picked up 5 extra yards because he went straight ahead, going for that goal line.
And I know the thing Walter has to like is Jim Covert and Mark Bortz. Boy, they really opened up a hole over there on the left side. 2 plays in a row.
1st down, goal to go, the Bears. We're tied at 3 with a little more than 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Both teams 2-0 into tonight's game. Payton. Payton pecking, looking, and then turning on the power. Gets down to close to the 2-yard line. David Howard, former USFLer with the LA Express, made the stop, number 99. He's been busy tonight.
There's no rule that quarterbacks use. If you have something going for you, keep after it. That's 3 plays in a row. They ran Walter to that left side, and they're continuing to gain yardage. You don't want to go to the well too often, but let's see if they can stop you. You know, keep running there until they do stop you.
2nd down, goal to go. The ball at the 2-yard line. This is just about over the top range for Walter Payton. He can fly just about as well as Marcus Allen. And that time, Payton tried to just bull his way in. Gets to the 1-yard line where it'll be 3rd down, goal to go. Payton with 98 career touchdowns.
Well, when you want a back to go over the top, you normally will line him up in that short I formation so he can get sort of a launching pad going for him, a little runway. On that play, there was not much Walter could have done. There was not much blocking on the left side of that Chicago offensive line, and Walter got the most out of it.
3rd down, goal to go.
You mean we went to the well one too many times?
Well, we may see him take off on this one, though. They're in that
deep
short
in the eye. Reitman is in there, the other tight end. Ditka had a chance. He wanted to go up. Joey Browner came around the horn, made the hit. It'll be 4th down and decision time for Mike Ditka. Hey, he was trying to launch himself over the top. And I think Ditka has made his decision. Let's get 3 more. Kevin Butler has come out, and what a great defensive effort. They had surged across, beaten the Bears on the offensive charge, and gave Browner time to come around the horn and make the stop before Peyton could even launch it. Here's Kevin Butler on a 20-yard attempt. The Bears to take the lead. Steve Fuller's the holder. And the Bears lead it 6-0 with 3:25 remaining in the half. A bit of a victory for the Vikings defense down in close.
That's Joey Browner. He's been a happening in Minnesota this year. He's the guy that forced that 4th down play, forced the fumble early in the game, and he's the guy who played with Ronnie Lott and Dennis Smith when he was at USC as a sophomore, and he's really come into his own this year.
Pretty rapid company. He also had a touchdown return of an interception. Lofty Berg against Tampa Bay. Had 3 fumbles against the 49ers. Rising superstar. There is the kick of Kevin Butler. Buster Rhymes will bring it out. Big opening. You can see it developing. And Rhymes just did make it. Split the seam, and he's out to the 36-yard line. Kevin Butler had to make the save for the Bears. 1st and 10 at the 36-yard line. Darren Nelson, right side. Ball coming loose, but I think they've blown it dead at the 39-yard line. It'll be a 3-yard pickup. 2nd down and 7. 3:05, and the clock is moving, and at the moment the Bears leading 6-3.
You know, you mentioned that Seattle game. I'm really looking forward to getting up there. With Warner back, they are an explosive offense. Chuck Knox has got that team thinking Super Bowl this early in the season. They really are a good football team.
They'll turn on the outside. That's going to do nothing the way he's developing but help Steve Largent. Not that he needs it. 2 remarkable receivers now with the Seahawks. 2nd and long. Kramer's back. Here comes the full blitz. Kramer ducked under it. And of course, a single coverage downfield, and Anthony Carter gets his first reception of the night. Good move again by Kramer. Dan Hampton was all over Kramer. He was the main bear that Kramer had to get under, number 99.
Well, Kramer should have been
Singletary on the blitz, number 50. Durison, the safety coming. Good move by Kramer, ducking right under Dan Hampton. And heads up play by Anthony Carter. I don't know what his pass pattern was, but he saw the blitz, looked back inside, and Kramer was able to get it to him. It'll be 1st down for Minnesota. They're at the 45-yard line of the Chicago Bears, and we get the 2-minute warning. Tommy Kramer, he's been hassled and harassed, but he has the Vikes on the move. Two minutes remaining in the first half. The Bears lead the Minnesota Vikings 6-3 in a Central Division matchup here in the NFC. Tommy Kramer has been all over him tonight. He's ducked under I don't know how many Bears to get completions. They have 6 first downs to the Vikings. All of them have come from passing. Kramer is 8 of 50, 92 yards. He's had the 1 interception. At the 45-yard line of the Bears, Kramer back under pressure again. Tries to get it deep, and Richardson almost intercepted. Bobbled the ball down the sidelines as Kramer was trying to go for the bundle to Leo Lewis.
Well, this is the 2nd time Leo Lewis had to play defense instead of offense and prevented an interception. As you can see, it appears as if Richardson was going to get control of this ball, but Lewis, nice defensive play, Leo.
It was, and he did just that in the first half, keeping away from an interception. 2nd down and 10. Anthony Carter goes up top of your screen, 1,300 yards. He had this past season for Oakland and 70 receptions. That, of course, in the USFL. Kramer fires quickly to the tight end. This is Malarkey, and Malarkey has a first down inside the 30-yard line of the 29-yard line. 16-yard pickup. Jerry Burns, offensive coordinator, sending the plays in. Been with Bud Grant for 17 years. Not happy at all last year. Has announced his retirement mid-season under Les Steckel. Bud Grant came back, And with him, of course, Jerry Burns. And this is Jerry Burns' offense. Throw it underneath, dink it here, dink it there. Every now and then throw one deep to keep him honest. That's the time remaining in the half, and the Bears lead 6-3. Kramer fires a shot. It's complete to Carter. And Anthony Carter, who looks so fragile out there, works for another Viking first down near the 15-yard line. Well, he does look fragile at 162 pounds, 5'11". But he gets the job done as Minnesota calls timeout. They have 2 timeouts remaining. They have a first down inside the 15-yard line of the Bears, and Kramer will talk it over with Bud Grant. Bud Grant is back. This football team is a different-looking football team. There's no question about that. When Bud left in '83, he actually, in the prior 6 years, had been just coaching at 500. He was 44-44 in the 6 years prior to leaving after the '83 season. So in all honesty, he didn't leave Les Steckel a whole lot to work with. But a 3-13 brought him back. On 1st and 10, the Vikings at the 15-yard line of the Bears. And Kramer tries to get it into his wide receiver, Leo Lewis. Mike Richards was there. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Dan Hampton again pressuring Tommy Kramer.
That was a good play. I like the play. It was a terrific effort on Mike Richardson's part to break that up, but I like the design of the play to sprint out to get away from the rush.
Mike Richardson, 2nd-round pick in '83. He has really developed into a fine cornerback. You got to be a good cornerback with the Bears because they leave you out there so often alone. That'd be pretty good if a man-for-man coverage. 2nd down and 10. That's the time remaining in the half. Kramer trying to get the 6. In the corner, that's Anthony Carter. Touchdown. No flags. Well thrown ball, and Carter in a good sprint. 14-yard touchdown.
Well, Frank, you just said it. They left the cornerback out there all by himself, and he got burned.
Hard not to with a good passer, and you give him time to throw. It's tough to cover any top receiver man for man. That ball was perfectly thrown. It wasn't that bad a position by Richardson. He knew he was beat, though.
Well, Carter beat him at the line of scrimmage when he avoided the push. When he avoided the bump at the line of scrimmage, the defender was already beaten.
Here's John Stenerud. And the Vikings have the lead for the first time tonight. So effortless. His first NFL touchdown. Of course, he had so many of them. This past season at Oakland alone, he had 14, over 1,300 yards on 70 receptions. Bud is back. Good offensive effort on the part of the offensive team to move that football, but keep in mind twice the Bears had first down, goal to go inside the 10-yard line, and they were held twice to 3 points on each occasion. John Stenerud to kick off. Willie Gaul is back. Here's Dennis Gentry. This will be Willie Gaul. Dangerous return man, but the Vikings covered well. Hustling down there was John Turner. And with 42 seconds remaining in the first half, the Bears will have the ball inside their own 30-yard line. 1st and 10, they have 3 timeouts. At halftime, a reminder once again, we are going to be talking with Eric Dickerson of the Rams, who of course reported prior to last weekend, did not play against the Eagles, but we will see him in Seattle on Monday night when the Rams meet the Seattle Seahawks. Both of those teams, by the way, are 2-0. We've got a pair of 2-0 teams tonight, and we'll have 2 more of them on Monday. Near the 29-yard line, first down Bears. Fuller. Screen, Nat Suhey. Suhey, good running, ran right under a Viking, and then really heads-up play, stepping out of bounds when he got all he could get up near midfield, stopping the clock. 33 seconds remaining in the half. 20-yard pickup.
That was just about the most imaginative play that I've seen out of Chicago in the 2 games that I've watched them. One in the preseason and this one.
That Suhey's one heck of a football player. He's been as steady as could be for the Bears over the last 6 years. He's dependable, Matsui. He's very smart. You see how he just ran out of bounds there to save the clock. He's good at catching the football and blocking for Walter Payton as well. All around good football player.
Former Penn Stater, Matsui, number 26. That's the time remaining in the half. Blitz is on. Fuller steps in the pocket, dumps it to Payton, and down goes Payton. Good reaction there defensively as Carl Lee, who already has one interception on the night, was watching Payton all the way. One thing about it, Payton is always going to attract a crowd. And Fuller now uses the Bear timeout. They have 2 remaining. And he'll move over to the sidelines. Be there with Mike Ditka. And no question, if you joined us late, Jim McMahon, the man they would like to have in there, the quarterback, is on the bench. Muscle spasm in the neck, nerve spasm rather, and muscle spasms in the back. Said he wanted to play. There were many of the Bears, including Gary Fensick, who we spoke with, said there's no way we'll keep him out of the lineup tonight. There he is on the right with the headband on. No question that he does also march to a different drummer than most folks.
Well, when they came out to warm up, he led them onto the field. He came out running. I saw him throwing the football, doing the warm-ups, and I mean, he looked sharp. He looked ready to play. I was standing with Dick Butkus on the sideline, and Butkus mentioned that Ditka is trying to institute a rule around the camp that if you don't practice, don't expect to play.
That's not a bad rule.
I like that rule, actually, especially for a quarterback, and I guess any other position. The quarterback has to be sharp when he's out there. The only way a man's going to be sharp is by practicing.
I think you get down late in the season, it's a different story. You get down to the last 2 or 3 games, you're in a playoff drive, but here early in the season, they put him in there tonight. They might lose him for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. They keep him out tonight. They know they're going to have him back probably next week. 2nd down and 9. Bears trailing 10-3. Fuller under pressure, tried to throw the ball in the direction of Suey, and he may get called for grounding the ball this time, although Suey was right in his line of sight. I'm not so sure about that call.
He did have Suey in the vicinity. Didn't have to call this intentional grounding.
The 3rd one tonight, and it's a very rare call. Most quarterbacks can get away with it.
Well, if we're all being honest, we know it was intentionally grounded. But Suey was in the vicinity. Look for number 26, top left of your screen.
There's pressure from Elshire. No Suey. In any event, grounding the ball, loss of down. It'll be 3rd down and 25.
That's 2 intentional groundings tonight. That's unusual.
At the 35-yard line. Payton and Suey both in there. 4 down linemen for the Vikes. Taylor fires. That's Emery Moorhead. No, he comes down out of bounds. Incomplete. It'll be 4th down.
Well, we got a flag. I don't know if he went beyond the line of scrimmage before he threw the ball, or if a lineman had released.
He was very close to it. Flag is down right on the line of scrimmage. Again, our referee tonight, Dick Jorgensen.
Illegal forward pass. Number 4, offense, 5 yards, loss of down, 4th down.
Another loss of down, consecutive loss of down penalties, and the punting unit will come on with 14 seconds remaining in the half.
The Vikings have blocked 1 punt this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they go all out to block this one, because even if they do rough the punter, there's only 14 seconds left in the game.
More Buford is on. And Darren Nelson is deep.
Don't leave us, it's just a half.
Good kick by Buford. Darren Nelson just lets it go. And the seconds tick down to 2, 1. And on the scoreboard clock, the half is over. And the Vikings, with a sellout hometown crowd, lead the Bears 10-6. We'll be back. We'll be talking live with Eric Dickerson of the Los Angeles Rams. Don't go away. Deep for the Bears. It is Willie Gauld and Dennis Gentry awaiting the kick of Jan Stenerud, who will get the second half underway. Minnesota leading the Bears 10-6. Both teams undefeated in tonight's play. The Bears, of course, 10-6 last year, the defending Central Division champion, loses to the 49ers in the NFC title game. While the Vikings were 3-13. Here's Willie Gault. Great speed, and Willie Gault finds a little bit of a gap, and he takes it out to the 43-yard line. 1st and 10 Bears. Ball near the 43-yard line. It's Willie Gault with the longest kickoff return professionally of his career, has given the Bears good field position, and a good, strong shot by Fuller. Gets the ball upfield, hitting Gault at about the 35-yard line. It'll be 1st down Bears, and they get a big one on the very first offensive play of the second half.
They sure did, and the reason he was so open, he was one-on-one with the defensive back here. Minnesota ran a blitz, and gosh, he turned Willie Teal around in a circle.
And nothing dramatic in the first half on the part of either quarterback, except Tommy Kramer scrambling for his life, and he was effective. Steve Fuller was 10 of 13 in the first half, 95 yards, 1 interception. Tommy Kramer 12 of 21, 142 yards. He too had an interception. The Bears have a 1st down. It's at the 37-yard line of the Vikings, and Fuller is back under pressure. Had a man open. It was McKinnon. That one bounced right off his knee. A pass that was thrown low, but could have been caught.
And should have been caught. I thought it was a very nice move by Fuller to avoid the sack that time. Should have been a completed pass.
Dennis McKinnon, who missed much of last year with an injury, probably the best outside receiver, at least in terms of working underneath. Willie Gault, of course, has a great speed to the outside. But McKinnon, out of Florida State, has a lot of good moves. Got himself a touchdown pass this past Sunday against New England. Fuller from the regular tee, hands off to Suhey on 2nd and 10. Matt Suhey, good strong running. He'll have a 1st down. He's close to the 25-yard line, the former Penn Stater.
Well, once again, we're seeing some imagination from this Chicago offense. Matt Suhey lined up in a slot formation that would normally indicate he was going to go out for a pass, and ran along the line of scrimmage, and they made a nice little reverse handoff on it.
There were a couple of question marks coming in tonight for the Bears. Walter Payton bruised his ribs in the New England game this past Sunday, had to leave the game in the 4th quarter, but he's been going all the way tonight. Jim McMahon was a question mark up until right before the game started, and a pinched nerve in the neck and muscle spasms in the back has benched Jim McMahon, the quarterback, and we are watching Fuller go all the way this evening. Tries to get it to Payton on 1st down.
Well, he got it to Walter, but Walter was about 5 yards out of bounds, even when he threw it to him.
First time we've seen Jim McMahon tonight with his helmet on. He's, I think, trying to get in the way of Mike Ditka every way he can. Hey, Coach, what do you think? Ditka, that is Mike Ditka with his coat off, shouting out to something to his offensive unit. Mike Ditka coached for 9 years under Tom Landry at the Dallas Cowboys after his career ended there. Played 6 years with the Bears, All-Pro here 3 or 4 times with the Bears. A couple of years at Philadelphia, 4 years at Dallas. Came to the Bears as head coach in 1982. 2nd and 10. Fuller, Payton, and Payton is unable to get away from Willie Teal. He'll get a couple out of it. Good tackle by Willie Teal. Let's take a look at the 1st quarter stats, then we'll resolve those to the 1st half stats. Again, it has not been an offensive thriller, to say the least. Minnesota with a fine drive right at the end of the half, and a good pass from Tommy Kramer to Anthony Carter to put the Vikings in front for the first time, and they lead 10-6. We're in the 3rd quarter. Frank Gifford along with Joe Namath and O.J. Simpson. 3rd down and long. Bears have been able to get deep on the Vikings. Twice they've had a 1st down and goal to go, but they have not been able to get it into the end zone. Fuller fires to Brad Anderson, and Anderson may have taken himself out of 1st down range. We'll see where they mark that ball. They'll mark it near the 18. That's short of the 1st down by a couple. Scott Studwell made the stop. Anderson should have thought 1st down instantly. Put his head down, bull to see if he could get it. Now they settle with the field goal unit.
And what really stopped that play was Neil Oshire. He had an end tackle game on. He stunted around to the outside and came clean. Not an offensive blocker laid a hand on him.
Kevin Butler is on. Butler has hit twice tonight from in close, one a 24-yarder, and again from 20 yards out. This will be from 35. The rookie from Georgia. And now Butler has made 3 for 3, and we have a 1-point difference. 10-9, the Vikings are leading. We'll be back at the Metrodome in a moment. Buster Rhymes, a 4th-round draft pick out of Oklahoma, has settled in to await the kickoff of Kevin Butler. Bears now trailing the Vikes 10-9. Opening moments of the 3rd quarter here in Minneapolis. High kick by Butler. Rhymes from the 2-yard line. And Rhymes out over the 30 on a good return. Minnesota will have good field position. First down and 10, the Vikings at the 33-yard line. Kramer again chased out of the pocket. He's been chased out of that pocket, ducking under Bears all night long. This time he tries to get it incomplete to Steve Jordan. Tried to get it into Jordan across the middle, and Hampton was all over Kramer. Take a look at him in isolation. He used to play out at defensive end until Richard Dent got so good. They moved him to the inside, and he is picked up on the inside just like he used to do it from the outside. Hampton and Dent both over on that same side. Big reason the Bears were able to get 72 sacks, a record a year ago. Dent had 17.5 last year. Hampton had 11.5. On 2nd and 10, Kramer with a little rollout, giving a little more protection. He gets the ball out to Malarkey, and Malarkey close to a first down, right on the first down marker. Wilber Marshall taking him out of bounds.
Now that's the 2nd time Wilber Marshall didn't quite get to the outside far enough. Early in the first half, they had a completion downfield. This time it was a simple zone defense to the strong side, and it was Wilber's responsibility to get to the outside there, and he just didn't quite get there.
Well, in defense of Wilber, he should have been there, but Minnesota's doing an excellent job of running these play action passes, and what that does is hold that linebacker for just a fraction to get those receivers open.
Malarkey was beyond the first down marker, but the sticks were held on the opposite side of the field, so we'll get the measurement. And it's first down Minnesota, and you hear it from the crowd, a sellout crowd, 62,000 here at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis. Bears have defeated the Vikings 3 straight. They doubled on them last season, and the quarterback in one of those victories was the man we've been watching tonight, Steve Fuller. He had a big game, 34-3 victory over the Vikings, filling in for Jim McMahon last year, as he's doing tonight. Minnesota, first and 10 from their 43-yard line. Darren Nelson sacked up over on the left side. Mike Hartenstein, the defensive end, closing down. Steve McMichael there, and Wilber Marshall. Gain of a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9. You think Curtis House is a big one? Curtis Rouse at 318, number 68 there.
Curtis Boo Boo Rouse. Hey, I'm surprised with this Minnesota team. I wasn't sure that they were for real before this game, but I'm starting to believe that they're a good football team.
Rouse, the lineman at the bottom of your screen, he has a broken left hand. He has it encased in a cast, and then that is padded. Kramer again chased out of the pocket. That one almost picked off. Diving for it, almost collecting it, was Leslie Frazier. It'll be 3rd down and 9.
Frazier already has 1 interception tonight, and last year they thought he was on his way to the Pro Bowl. He had 5 interceptions going into the 10th game of the year. He got hurt in that game. He didn't play much after that, but he's one of the fine cornerbacks in this game. There's Roush, but you can see that club on his left hand.
That's, of course, checked by the officials before the game. There's a cast under a lot of padding. Still looks rather lethal. It certainly cuts down on the holding capabilities. 3rd and 9. From the shotgun, Tommy Kramer. This time Kramer had some time, looks downfield, and he finds Buster Rhymes, a rookie from Oklahoma. He comes down with a Minnesota first down near the 22-yard line. Gary Fensick was back there along with Mike Singletary. The Bears in their 46th defense, they play Singletary deep. See number 50? Watch him. He'll take a drop like a safety man.
Yes, he will, and the reason being Gary Fensick and Dave Durison both split the field, and they covered the outsides of the field, leaving the middle open, and that middle area is Singletary's coverage here. Very difficult for a middle linebacker to get back there that deep.
What they count on is pressure on the quarterback. They count on Tommy Kramer not having the time to get that deep, and they depend on that. The defensive coordinator, Buddy Ryan, they didn't get it that time. Kramer was a little antsy in there, but his line held for him. He was able to get the completion. First down, Vikings, 21-yard line of the Bears. Vikings leading 10-9 here in the third quarter. Darren Nelson to the 20-yard line, and a flag comes late. Could be a holding call. Dan Hampton defensively there for the Bears. I think they're going to call Curtis Rouse for a holding.
Holding, number 68, offense, still first down.
We know he did it with the right hand.
Yeah. You know, we saw Tillman, who played with Atlanta last year. He's with the Washington Redskins this year, played with a club on his hand last year, and he went the whole season with never having a penalty call against him. You see his left arm, the bad arm he's holding with. There's nothing more frustrating to a coach than to get a holding penalty on a run play.
You know, Curtis weighs 318 pounds without his uniform. I wonder what he weighs out there with all the equipment on.
And pulling clear to the opposite side also. Down remains the same. It's first down and 20. Field position, 32-yard line of the Bears. Anderson is in motion. Kramer fires underneath. This is Alan Rice. And Rice gets some of it back to the original line of scrimmage, where it'll be second down and 10. And Kramer complaining once again, as he was in the first half. They're getting to him a little late. Either that or holding his receiver, but Tommy will get into a football game. He gets exercised.
I think he felt he was clubbed after he threw the ball across the helmet.
You know, they say so much about the Bears and their rough, tough style of play. Their defensive unit was the least penalized defensive unit in the NFL last year. So they play it rough, they play it tough, but they play it relatively straight. 22-yard line, second down and 10. The option, and it goes to Anderson. Fensick put the hit on right at the line of scrimmage. Anderson bounces off and gets a yard and a half out of it. Down the line comes Kramer, and he's free meat right there for Richard Dent. He's handling that ball as if he's running it. That's why I question that call. And Jim McMahon, I'm sure, is warming up strictly on his own. We were told that it came from Mike Ditka, that he was only in there if there was a catastrophe. And the Bears are trailing 10-9 with 7:50 in the clock moving here in the third quarter. That's not quite catastrophic. Free play. Flags it down. Free shot for Tommy Kramer. Incomplete. Busy referee tonight, Dick Jorgensen. Offside Bears. That's what we meant by the free play. Tommy Kramer, of course, read it. He knew he'd have a shot to put it up, as O.J. mentioned last week, I think it was. If you get that free shot, find the deepest man you got out there. Let's pause 5 seconds and allow our stations to identify themselves. Richard Dent was offside for the Bears. That will bring up a third down and 1 for the Minnesota Vikings.
Should be interesting here. The Vikings, that's why they have 11 first downs, and all those first downs came on throwing the ball.
Grant Gifford along with O.J. Simpson and Joe Namath watching two Central Division rivals as we watch the number 1 draft pick coming in for the Bears. That's William Perry, the rookie from Clemson, nicknamed the Refrigerator. He's a big one. He's in on the short yardage and goal line defense. And the Vikings have a third down and 1. Anderson stretches it to the outside. He'll get the first down. Mike Richardson carrying out of bounds. Good running on Anderson's part. Nothing doing inside. He took it outside for the first down.
The reason that play worked, Otis Wilson, the linebacker who had outside support, got blocked. He got hung up and was blocked to the ground. Left the outside wide open.
Very close game thus far. Hard hitting. 10-9. Minnesota leading Chicago. We understand the thunderstorms that they had predicted for the Minnesota, specifically the Minneapolis area, have hit. Driving rainstorm outside. But we're in the Metrodome. Temperature nice, around 68. Kramer. First down. Trying to get into the corner of the end zone. Anthony Carter was over there. He had attracted the crowd. It's incomplete.
Good play by Chicago on that play as we watch Kramer get pounded after he throws the ball away. They were expecting man-on-man coverage, and they were trying to run the same play that they scored on with Anthony Carter earlier, but the cornerbacks from Chicago dropped off. Hey, he had nothing to do but throw the ball away.
Yeah, he's a gutsy guy, though, isn't he? Stands in there. He has been battered and beaten since he came into this league 9 years ago and missed half of last year, almost all of the year before that. Thoroughly beaten up, and that's one of the reasons. He's a competitor. He'll stand there and wait till the last moment to get rid of it. Second down, goal to go. Kramer up again. Wide open. Touchdown, Mike Jones. He had a couple of key receptions for first downs in the first half, and this time Mike Jones, a third-year man from Tennessee State, gets it into the end zone and stretches out the Minnesota lead.
Why was he so open here? Well, look at this replay, and we'll see they're playing him loose. He splits the two linebackers right here. Singletary didn't get over to the strong side.
You can't let him inside down there either. You're playing over his nose. You got to make him go outside.
Well, in fairness to Singletary, you never know who's supposed to be covering whom in this type of defense that Buddy Ryan has on defense.
They better find out. It's going to be a long season.
Stenerud with the uprights. And we have a 17-9 game. The Vikings, they're 2-0. They beat San Francisco in the opener. They beat Tampa Bay. They lead the Bears. I think we now know what Ditka, how he measures a catastrophe. Jim McMahon is going to come into the game. We were told he would not be in unless something catastrophic happened. He has his helmet on. Steve Fuller has his helmet off. Maybe a catastrophe is measured by 8 points down midway in the third quarter. Deep for the Bears. Gentry is back there, 29. Willie Gault. Willie Gault has come close to hopping 2 of them tonight. Keep in mind he has that world-class sprinter speed 5 times at Tennessee. He took a kickoff for a touchdown, 1 short of the NCAA record. Jan Stenerud will put it up. Vikings leading 17-9. Willie Gault wants it. But he had to let Dennis Gentry take it. Gault stepped right in front of him, and Gentry goes to the 30-yard line. Out comes Jim McMahon. We told you, pinched nerve in his neck. He was in traction after the game on Sunday. Has not worked out this week. Ditka was pretty positive he would not play. He said he needed to practice if he was going to play. And his 2 wins over Tampa Bay and New England. Jim is 36 of 55, 65.5%, 3 touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. We told you earlier, missed 7 games last year, all of the playoff games with a lacerated kidney, as Fuller started 4 of those last 6 games of the season. But here he is, Jim McMahon, great All-American from Brigham Young University, has taken over for the Bears. Pressure on the first play, and wide open.
I love it!
It's Willie Gault, forget it. If he gets behind you, it's over, and McMahon paid the price, but he got the touchdown, 70-yard touchdown. He really got hammered just as he released the ball. And that's Johnson was coming on the blitz. I don't know whether he was the man that got him, but what a great shot, hitting Willie Gault right in stride.
Well, Walter Payton made it happen because he picked up that middle linebacker who timed his blitz perfectly. Watch 55, watch 52. Walter Payton picked him up. The blitz was perfect, and a beautiful pass by McMahon to one of the fastest humans living.
McMahon never saw the completion. He was buried right after he delivered the ball to Willie Gault. So lightning has struck. It's the first play of more than 30 yards that the Vikings have given up this year. That was 70 yards. Butler for the conversion. This game is back to within 1 point.
Well, the Vikings tried to fool Jim there. They knew it was his first play of the game. He was excited. They figured they'd come with the all-out blitz and fool him, but Jim read it perfectly. And I have to reiterate what OJ said. It was
defense, point down, 5 yards on the kickoff.
Absolutely great play by Walter Payton picking up that blitz.
And there is Willie Gault with the great speed. He was wide open, but it was such a well-thrown ball. Buster Rhymes is back for the Vikings. Kevin Butler will put it in play. 17-16. Minnesota still leading, and a beautiful kick by Butler. And the Minnesota Vikings will have it on the 20-yard line. Here's Joe.
Everything went just right for the Bears on that play. It was pretty good defensive philosophy. Quarterback comes in the game. He's cold. He's a little bit nervous, so let's put the pressure on him. Well, it didn't work that time, obviously. Jim McMahon's too smart for it, along with Walter Payton. Walter Payton did a terrific job picking up Dennis Johnson right there. And Willie Gault in a one-on-one situation. Well, we all know by now he's very difficult to keep up with. What a pass by Jim McMahon. Great play, all-around offensive play. Fine play.
McMahon held it until he saw Gault clear. He never saw the completion. 70-yard touchdown to Willie Gault. Great effort made possible by an all-around football player, Walter Payton. 1st and 10. The Vikings leading by 1. Kramer, and that ball almost picked off. Mike Richardson had a good shot at it. It's incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Play like that, I think, has a tendency to even fire up the Bears defense as well. You know, they have their leader back in there. Talking to McKinnon today in the meeting, he said Jim McMahon just fires up the team when he's in there. He's a heck of a leader, a heck of a competitor, and it looks like he's picked up the defense as well.
Willie Gault now having his finest game of his pro career. 5 receptions on the night, 132 yards, the 170-yard touchdown. 7 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. In that kind of a football game, that's the first big play we've had, but it has been, I promise you, a hard-hitting game. Good defensive play on the part of both clubs. Kramer spinning out of trouble again, and this time fires it up there, gets it to Leo Lewis, who makes a super catch. That is one of the most difficult catches in football, pulling it off your shoestrings. Richard Dent again pressuring Tommy Kramer out of the pocket. First down, Minnesota.
If I was Richard Dent, I'd go straight to the official. I don't know how they missed that holding penalty. He's talking to the official now. He beat his man at the line of scrimmage. Kramer was dead meat, and he was grabbed. His jersey was grabbed from behind.
First down, 30-yard line. Kramer looking it over. He wanted to go outside to Leo Lewis. He had to finally check it off to Alan Rice. And that's incomplete.
Minnesota, they have to throw the ball deep now, Joe. These guys are just sitting on those short passes now, and they're just taking shots at the ball when it's released.
Well, that last time, Richard Dent and Dan Hampton got their hands up, and that prevented Kramer from throwing it early. But with one-on-one coverage, I'd like to see him go deep, too.
Last time Tommy Kramer played against these Bears, he really blew them away 35-7. He had 5 touchdown passes, over 340 yards. That was back in '82. He hasn't played against the Bears since then because of injuries. Kramer looking over 2nd down and 10. This time, nowhere to go, and down goes Kramer inside the 25 at the 24. A loss of 6 yards. It'll be 3rd and extremely long yardage. 3rd down and 16. And I promise you, those 4 down linemen, Dent, Hampton, McMichael, and Hartenstein, will just let it fly. Kramer gets the protection, is picked off, however. This is Wilber Marshall. And Marshall brings it back to the 25-yard line. That time, Kramer had a lot of time. A poorly thrown ball is picked off.
I think that's the first time tonight that Minnesota didn't show the patience that they need. They still have a 1-point lead, and I think they should have been a little more patient, try to get a little of it back, punt the ball, and hope that their defense can do the job. They've been doing it all night. Wilber Marshall did an excellent job of reading it and does a fine job of running with the ball after he caught it.
His first career interception, and it gives the Bears the ball inside the 26-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. 5:33 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Minnesota leading Chicago 17-16. McMahon firing. McKinnon. Touchdown. McMahon has thrown 2 footballs tonight. 2 touchdowns. A 25-yarder there to McKinnon. Earlier, a few moments ago, if you were not with us, a 70-yarder to Willie Gault. This is hard to believe.
Does he make things happen, positive things for this offense?
Yeah, that's a difficult ball to throw, as you well know, Joe. Sliding out to the left, throwing it back across the field. You hang it up there. Speed can get you the interception defensively. That ball hung up there like that, but that was perfectly timed. Kevin Butler for the conversion. And the Bears have retaken the lead. Quite a football game, and this man has put some electricity into it. Jim McMahon, colorful, fun, and rather skillful. Two passes, 2 touchdowns. The man blinked. Finally, he is intense.
I think he was
very special.
Saying hello to his lovely wife Nancy. I know she's sitting at home on the edge of her seat and certainly concerned because of the injury.
Kevin Butler bangs it. Buster Rhymes is deep and takes it at the 5. A little indecision back there, but Buster Rhymes gets it out over the 20 to about the 23-yard line. Let's take a look at McKinnon now, Joe, in isolation.
Yes, again, this is a fairly dangerous pass for some people to be throwing, but Jim, with the velocity he can throw the football, knows he can get it to him, and McKinnon just simply outruns Browner. It was an inside-outside coverage by Browner and Vest, but neither one of them kept up with him.
Yeah, I don't know how he got that much on it. Falling away to his left, he rolled to his left. He's right-handed, of course. He still was able to get the velocity on it. He has stirred the Metrodome up. The catastrophe quarterback. 2 completions, 2 touchdowns. Vikings now trailing 23-17. Ball at their own 22-yard line. Kramer gets it to Anderson. And Anderson is met at the 25-yard line. A gain of about 3. It'll bring up 2nd and 7. Dave Durison was there defensively for the Bears. 2nd down and 7. Kramer dancing around, but he finds Anderson, and Anderson slips, but he gets the first down over the 35-yard line.
A good move by Anderson, finding the dead spot in there, and they have to give the offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings credit. Tommy had a lot of time back there to find the receiver.
Bud Grant, having returned this year, now in his 18th season, 4 Super Bowls, all of them lost by the Minnesota Vikings, the most recent in '76 against the Oakland Raiders. 11 times in 17 years, Bud Grant won this Central Division. Last year, of course, the Bears won it for the very first time with a 10-6 record. 1st and 10, the Vikings near their 37-yard line. Kramer now 19 of 34, 230 yards, a couple of touchdowns, 2 interceptions as we watch Darren Nelson find a big opening on the right side. Out to the 44-yard line, gain of 7.
This is one of the reasons Minnesota should have showed a little more patience on that 3rd and long before. I think that was the first time they panicked somewhat. They've been moving the ball very successfully here in the second half, doing just what they're doing now. A few runs and short passes.
The 3rd down and 16 situation that they had on the interceptions, mighty tough to go downfield with those linebackers that deep.
One of the few bad passes Kramer has thrown tonight, but it resulted instantly in a Bears touchdown. Anderson gets away from McMichael, but not Dan Hampton. 3rd down and 5. The Minnesota Vikings at their own 43-yard line. 2:24 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Tommy Kramer from the shotgun, but the whistle stopped the play.
Yeah, one of those linemen pulled his hand up.
False start, number 71. Offense. Still 3rd down.
Things are getting a little shaky for the Vikings here in the 3rd quarter. The pass that Tommy Kramer had picked off and one that he should not have thrown. And now movement on the line. Toronto, of course, leads the Yankees in the American League by 5 going into today. The Yankees getting drubbed once again by Detroit. Kansas City leads California by 1 game in their battle. That's going into the day. There you see part-time action in baseball in the American League. 3rd down and 10 now for the Vikes. Kramer going in the general direction of Buster Rhymes downfield. Crowd is getting a little antsy with Tommy. He's heard it before. Greg Coleman comes out now. the punter for Minnesota, and Dennis McKinnon drops back for the Bears. Understand that Greg Coleman's brother Vince stole his 100th base. His cousin brother stole his 100th base tonight for the Cardinals. Coleman picks it up, drills it low, the kind you can run back. Good coverage by the Vikes. They hold McKinnon short at the 32-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10. 41-yard punt, 8-yard return, but a flag is down.
Line.
Procedure against the Vikings, but I think the Bears would like that. They have good field position. I would think the Bears perhaps turn this down.
56 not up on the line of scrimmage.
And they do indeed decline the penalty, so the Bears will have a 1st and 10, the ball at the 32-yard line. Quick count by McMahon. He wants another one.
He's got him.
Got a man deep. And bobbling the ball is Willie Gault.
Oh, my
Incomplete.
goodness.
That would have been 3 for 3. And McMahon is saying, come on, I put it there, you catch it. Oh, and did he put it there?
These are the passes Willie normally do an excellent job on. He has them. The ball, he's kind of fading back and outside a little bit, so it wasn't as simple a catch as it may have appeared. Pretty difficult catch, but I think he should have caught it.
Yeah, we'd call that a mild underthrow, actually, but Willie be the first one to tell you he could have had it. It would have been a darn good catch.
Well, not the only way he could have caught it would be to turn completely around. He's trying to catch it, keep some stride, and get into the end zone. 2nd down and 10. Again, quick count by McMahon. Complete to Marjoram. And Marjoram, former Stanford All-American, has 1st down yardage out over the 45-yard line.
They have Willie Till, number 37, a little shell-shocked over there. He is giving about as I guess he didn't get the numbers right. Marjoram certainly isn't nearly as fast as Willie Gault, and he gave him just about as much cushion as he would have given Willie.
Marjoram coming back from bad knee surgery a year ago, missed all of last year. Full reconstruction job of the knee, and he is playing well. That's his 5th reception. We're here now in the 3rd game of the season. That's the time remaining in the 3rd quarter. McKinnon in motion. Movement and contact before the ball was snapped. Vikes had some kind of a deal on. They got into it early.
Number 57, offense, still 1st down.
Ball goes to Chris Martin, but in the interior line, contact was made. Tom Thayer is working at right guard for Kurt Becker, who was a questionable starter tonight because of a bruised back and tailbone.
You know, it appears to me that the Bears certainly aren't going to set on this lead, but Tommy Kramer on this Minnesota bunch on the other side, they know they need to get some more points. They're going full throttle offensively.
McMahon has been going on quick counts. Now he goes long count. McMahon, that ball incomplete. Willie Gault does not hold on. Short of the 1st down. It'll be 2nd down and 15. Once again, if you weren't with us earlier, we were told Jim McMahon would not play. He was a catastrophe quarterback. If Fuller went down, we presume Tomczak went down. Fuller struggled through the 1st half. Early in the 3rd quarter, they brought Jim McMahon on. He instantly, on the 1st play, hit Willie Gault for a 70-yard touchdown. They got the ball back a few moments later on an interception. He went right to the air again on his 2nd pass of the game. He hit Dennis McKinnon from 25 yards out. The Bears in the lead 23-17. McMahon stays on, looks down, and out over the Minnesota defense. 2nd down, 15. That's Willie Gault. Gault close to a 1st down. I think he has it. Isaac Holt giving Gault a lot of room, way too much room.
I was going to say to Joe, that was a record cushion on a receiver. I tell you, Isaac Holt must have been 15 yards away from Willie Gault.
I think we're going to have a measurement. Gault had his eye right on that 1st down marker. I tell you, when you're dealing with a guy who probably would have been a sprinter or perhaps even a hurdler in the '84 Olympics had he not signed a Bears contract. Well, you're going to give him a little bit of room.
And I believe they've grown to respect a great deal Jim McMahon's arm as well. They figure this guy's liable to do anything or try anything out there, so they want to give plenty of room.
Well, not much short for the first down. Galt now 6 receptions, 148 yards, 1 touchdown. Best of his professional career, which began as a #1 draft pick in 1983. Jim McMahon. I would suspect he'll go with a long count here. He's been going on short counts. He would like to draw the Vikes offside. I'm quite sure of that. Walter Payton is the setback. And McMahon, pinched nerve of the neck and all, gets the first down on the sneak over the left side. Gutsy little man, isn't he? In traction after the game this past Sunday, in which the Bears beat New England 20-7. Spent a couple days in the hospital. Joe, you were down visiting with him. He had a big horse collar around his neck. He looked like he was really in agony, didn't he?
When I first saw him over at the Bears training camp, he was holding court with about 20 newsmen, and he had this huge harness around his neck. Afterwards, when he and I started talking, he said, "Joe, I was just pulling their leg. I just put this on for fun."
Well, he almost pulled Ditka's leg too long because Ditka wasn't going to play him tonight because he had not worked out. On first down, this is McMahon again. Wide open field in front of him. He wants a bundle.
Got McKinnon.
That is McKinnon. 3rd touchdown pass tonight for McMahon. McKinnon's second, a 43-yard effort, and he is blowing this game away.
He makes things happen.
Great effort by McKinnon. He never gave up on McMahon. He kept full stride, gave him a good angle. Let's watch him. He's looking back. He knows what's going on. McMahon will be chased out of the pocket right here. There he is. He takes a look. Now he knows what McMahon can do. He tries to give him a plane in which to hit him, and he's right there.
It's hard to blame a defensive back when a receiver can run that far and still catch a pass. A lot of protection. McMahon did an excellent job of scrambling back there and buying time.
Butler for the conversion. McMahon, not bad numbers. 5 of 7, 166 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And McKinnon is having another big day. Had a touchdown, 2 touchdown passes coming into the game. He has a couple tonight. But McMahon has been outrageous. 43-yard touchdown. He had a 25-yard touchdown. McMahon hit Willie Galt with a 70-yard touchdown.
Well, there's an old saying that if you can back it up, it ain't bragging. And McKinnon was in the paper all week this week with statements that there was no way the Vikings could beat them, that they were a better team and it would be no game if these guys played their ball game. And I gather this is Chicago's ball game. I've never seen them play quite like this.
But that was a tremendous pass. Tremendous pass. McMahon running to his left and throwing the ball 50 yards. He's got some kind of arm.
He has really turned the electricity on here. And there, of course, is the man who started the game tonight. He wasn't all that bad. He just wasn't getting it done. He had the Bears right within reach. They were 1 point down when McMahon came into the game and set off the fireworks, and they have been incredible fireworks. Fuller was 14 of 18, 124 yards, had the 1 interception. Butler hits it. It's deep, and this will be Rhymes who bobbles it in the end zone. It'll be touchback. Chicago Bears defense, they really don't need all that much of a pump up, but it just seems to permeate through the entire team when something like that happens. Somebody comes off the bench, as McMahon has done. 3 quick touchdown passes. All of a sudden you were down by 1 when he came in. Now you lead in just a few minutes, 30-17. On first down, Kramer is back. Kramer is down. Sacked by McMichael. Back close to the 10-yard line. Take a look at that scoring drive, which was a McMahon 43-yard shot to Dennis McKinnon.
Well, we mentioned that Minnesota was proud of the fact that the closer they got their backs to the goal line, the better they got. Well, McMahon has found a remedy to that. That score from midfield.
Indeed he has. Third down and 19 following the sack. Second down, rather. Kramer. Ted Brown. And Brown back to the original line of scrimmage, taken out of bounds there by Dave Durson. And that's the end of the third quarter. We'll be back after this message and a word from our stations. I was going to ask Joe if he ever had back-to-back touchdown passes. He said, I don't remember. Don't stump me. And I said, well, I'll ask OJ. We can't stump him.
I can tell you against Baltimore, Joe Ferguson, 2 receptions on my part. We lost the game.
Jim McMahon has really fired this house up. Rather, he has quieted this house down. Partisan Minnesota Viking fans, of course. But he wanted to get in all night long. We'd been told he was not going to play. And he really turned the lights on when he came in. 5 of 7, 166 yards. 3 touchdowns, and they were back-to-back his first 2 passes here in the third quarter. Now, we begin the fourth quarter with the Vikings near their 21-yard line. Third down and 9. Tommy Kramer from the shotgun. Kramer, good shot. Getting it upfield. Leo Lewis. First down, Vikings, and again, Kramer paid the price. He was hammered as he released the football. Big Richard Dent. But he had to hold it that long for Leo Lewis to uncover, get himself open, and he paid the price. There's Dick Butkus, of course, for so many years, the great linebacker with the Chicago Bears.
He's the best that I've ever seen. I don't think any player has ever played his position with more aggressiveness and intelligence than Dick Butkus.
On first down, Kramer back again. Trying to get it to Lewis one more time. I noticed the topic of the conversation as Joe was visiting with Dick Butkus had to do with those knees.
Yeah, Dick's having a lot of trouble with his knees right now. And speaking of knees,
that's Anderson, second-year man out of Baylor, with a lot of Baylor running backs around. You watch Pollard and Abercrombie on Monday night. Those starting backs for the Pittsburgh Steelers, everywhere you look, Baylor running backs. Second down and 10, Vikings. That's Ted Brown, number 23 in motion. Oh, and trying to get the ball to Darren Nelson, I believe. Kramer, I think, feels that he was crossed up on the pattern run by Nelson. Put it right between Ted Brown and Darren Nelson. And it leaves Tommy in the unenviable spot of facing a Chicago defense at 3rd and 10. Minnesota still leading in total yards. But they can't take away the 70-yard shot to Willie Gault, the 43-yard shot to McKinnon, or the 25-yard touchdown pass to McKinnon. Now, Chicago, through the third quarter, they have the lead. Third and long. Kramer, wide open, deep downfield. It was the rookie from Oklahoma, Buster Rhymes. 2 big passes caught by this 4th-round draft pick, and Kramer was right on target with it.
Boy, you don't relax when Tommy Kramer's in the game, and the Bears very well know that. It's a zone defense here, and he simply found a hole deep in the secondary. Nice going, Buster.
Nice job of adjusting to the ball.
Certainly a great career as a receiver at Oklahoma, 51 receptions, 13 as a senior, 19-yard average. And he played that zone perfectly.
Yeah, you know, Buster was a running back there at Oklahoma for a while until a guy named Marcus Dupree showed up. Now, what happened to Marcus?
Speaking of knees.
1st and 10, the Vikings. They trail 30-17. Touchdown and a conversion, and they'll be 6th down. Kramer showing a lot of presence, but overthrows Ted Brown. Kramer under tremendous pressure. Otis Wilson had come on the blitz. The Bears defense just never lets up on you.
Pressure, pressure, pressure. That was a brilliant adjustment by Tommy, just a slight overthrow. You know, OJ, you did mention Marcus Dupree. He had an awful knee injury this past year, and there's concern that he may never be able to play again.
William Perry is in there. They call him the refrigerator, the #1 draft pick, a 325-pounder out of Clemson. There he is. What did the outspoken Buddy Ryan say at draft day? We just wasted a draft pick. Well, I don't think they think that anymore. They get a lot out of William Perry. 2nd and 10. Kramer has one batted away. Going up high, knocking it away was Richard Dent. It'll be 3rd down and 10. There is Richard Dent. 17.5 sacks last year. Pro Bowl. Was an 8th round draft pick in '83. In 1983, Dan Hampton, who played defensive right end, was injured for a while. Richard Dent came in and played so well. When Dan came back, they moved him inside to defensive tackle.
I want to see Williams, 72 on Rouse, 68. Both of them weighed 318 pounds.
2 refrigerators. 3rd and 10. Pressure on Kramer. He gets it away, and that pass was for 1st down yardage. Leo Lewis didn't handle it, and that would have kept the drive alive. It's 4th down. And the field goal unit comes on. Jan Stenerud. This is one that Leo Lewis will think about late tonight. Good working against Mike Richardson. Bounces off him right there.
Well, Mike did a good job. He got that left hand in there, and I think he got it on the ball.
Stenerud with the punter Greg Coleman holding a 47-yard attempt. And a bad snap to Coleman.
Punt it.
And we've heard so many complaints about the carpet here at the Metrodome. You saw Coleman slip that time. It is slippery.
But that's the 2nd missed snap on Coleman's side. That ball didn't appear to be a bad snap. We saw him early in the game drop a snap for a punt. Go find the sticker. Oh, that's illegal, huh?
So the Bears will have great field position. We'll look once again.
Oh, it's a high snap.
Huffman is the snapper. David Huffman high over the outstretched hands of Greg Coleman. And the Bears get the turnover. They're at the 44-yard line. And the Miracle Man comes back out onto the field. Jim McMahon, of course, has already fired 3 touchdown passes. Walter Payton. And Payton, each yard, adds to his NFL record. Official score credits, as he can, Huffman with that fumble, not Greg Coleman.
I look for the Bears now to run the clock a little bit more. They have a pretty good lead, 13 points. I think they'll try and use up some time.
They've got the man to do it against the defense that last year was 27th in the league against the rush, and there are only 28 teams. Payton on the night, 50 yards on 12 attempts. He's been quiet since the first quarter. He's playing tonight with some very sore ribs. They may use him now. They work Matsui for the 1st down. He's down close to the 30-yard line.
You know, of course, some people would wonder, as much success as Jim has had passing the football, why change things now? It is only a 13-point lead, and you figure 2 touchdowns, you're behind. So Jim McMahon loves to throw the football, and the only way he'll get away from throwing the ball is if his coaches say, Jim, now we want to run the ball. We want to run the clock.
There's a great relationship between Ditka and Jim McMahon. Ditka was this kind of a football player himself. He's a character. He is tough. He'd fight you, do anything to win. That's exactly what McMahon is. And Ditka trying to be a head coach with a little discipline. I think, well, it's sort of a love-hate relationship, really. McMahon puts it in the air and fires a shot.
Beautiful snap. Catch by
McKinnon with another great catch. I'll tell you, that's a tough one to catch. That is much more difficult than that dramatic leaping catch. When you have to go down, scoop it off your shoes, it makes a very difficult reception. And McKinnon came up with it for a Bear 1st down at the 13-yard line. We're in the 4th quarter. The Mets have won. Cards have lost. The Mets are 1 out. That race could go right down to the wire. Jim McMahon putting on a show here at the Metrodome. There was movement, I think, on both sides of the line there.
False start, number 62, offense, still 1st down.
First down and 15. Ball near the Vikings 18-yard line. Man looks into the end zone and tries to get it to Margarine. Margarine working against Joey Browner, and Joey Browner was right with Margarine all the way. Second down, 15. Again, movement. And there was contact made up at the top of your screen. Elshire stepped across the line of scrimmage, and I think he made the contact.
Encroachment, number 73, defense.
Well, that will equal it out. So we're back to the original line of scrimmage are the Chicago Bears. Inside the 13-yard line, second down and 10. 10:32 remaining in the game. Both teams trying to stretch their 1985 season start to 3-0. McKinnon in motion. Again, there was movement, and flags are down. Contact made before that ball was snapped. Game getting just a little sloppy, but it has been a hard-hitting affair.
False start, right tackle, offense, still second down.
Second down, 15, quick count by McCann. And overthrows Dennis McKinnon. It'll be third down, 15.
Speaking of that game, there's one question I wanted to ask Dickerson is, when I was holding out, that was the first year Walter Payton sort of came on his own. He was leading the league in rushing most of the year, and I was the defending champ. And the one thing I did every Monday, I picked up the paper to see where Walter was because I wanted to catch him.
Did you catch him?
Oh, I caught him in the last game of the season. Walter got hurt, and I was able to catch him.
I couldn't believe that. I did that game, O.J., and I remember 1976. You came in on Sunday. We were there on Monday, and they stuck you in there, and they worked you.
Well, he won't have to read the paper. He'll see Kurt Warner across the field from him. And, of course, James Wilder has 279 yards.
Third and 15. Ball batted away. Going up there to get it was Doug Martin. It'll bring up fourth down, and we'll see the place kicker. That, of course, means the rookie, Kevin Butler, fourth-round draft pick out of Georgia. And it's the first time McMahon has not got it into the end zone. Fuller is the holder. Jay Hilgenberg, the snapper. .33-yard attempt. 35-yard attempt, rather. Kevin Butler. No, he hooks it to the left. And the Vikings will get it back. Down 30-17 with 10:18 remaining. I'll tell you, the man is a competitor. He loves to win. He wanted the 3, didn't he? We'll be back. Vikings still in it. Touchdown and a conversion. We have a 6-point game. But the Bears certainly have taken away the momentum from the Vikings. Tommy Kramer having a rough night, but he stays in there. This one's to Steve Jordan. And Jordan down the sidelines, stays in bounds and gets out of the 40 to the 42 for a Viking first down. A 22-yard pickup.
Well, Chicago comes with the blitz that time, excuse me, and Fensick has to cover Jordan all the way to the outside. Fensick just can't get out there. Jordan ran a simple out pattern, and again, Fensick just couldn't get to him.
The first down is marked at the 43-yard line. Both teams undefeated. Vikings 2-0. They beat the 49ers in the opening game. They beat Tampa Bay last Sunday 31-16. The Bears beat Tampa Bay, and they beat New England this past Sunday. Vikings 3-13 a year ago. The Bears 10-6. Kramer trying to squeeze it into Jordan. He was well covered. Incomplete. That was Singletary and Wilson that had Jordan squished in between them. Bud Grant, always calm. As they say, it keeps the game in perspective. He was rather cool about it. He got fined one Super Bowl, or was it the Super Bowl? He was late showing up, got caught in a traffic jam. He arrived at the stadium 7 minutes before the game.
He doesn't get flustered, that's for sure.
Kramer now 23 of 45, 310 yards, but his team is trailing. He's thrown 2 interceptions, has 2 touchdowns. 2nd down and 10. Kramer wants the big one.
He's got him.
Carter, Anthony Carter. And how easy it is when you have skill at either end. Kramer laid that up perfectly. Anthony Carter took it in, 57-yard touchdown. The hometown loves it. You can well understand why they were willing to give a 2nd-round draft pick and a top linebacker in Sinline to the Dolphins for the rights to this man. Oakland waived him a couple of weeks ago of the USFL. This is his 2nd touchdown of the night. A beautifully thrown ball, Joe, and he took it in stride. Anthony Carter.
It was on the money, and if anyone ever had any questions about Anthony Carter's speed, I think they just found out the man can run.
I know he isn't. He just looks so fragile out there. 5'11", 162 pounds. There's Stenerud with flags all over the field. Puts it through the uprights.
30 Vikings.
Holding, and Stenerud will have to do it again. And this is a very important conversion. There's Anthony Carter. I mentioned 3 years, starting out with Michigan, then Michigan, of course, becoming Oakland this past season.
Offense, one more try.
This past season, 70 receptions for Anthony Carter, over 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, and he just moved right into the NFL season at the conclusion of the USFL year. That was Malarkey, by the way, of the Vikings, who was called on that penalty. So Stenerud will have to put it in from 30 yards out. This conversion, if good, will mean we have a 6-point game. That snap, but Greg Coleman got it up, and Stenerud gets it through. 30-24, we'll be back. Back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Good football game underway. 9:19 remaining, and it is 30-24. The Bears over the Vikings, but the Vikings have struck back. Touchdown pass for Tommy Kramer, 57 yards to Anthony Carter, and we have a 6-point ball game. Both teams coming into the game 2-0. They'd like to leave tonight 3-0, undefeated in the Central Division of the NFC. Deep, number 29 is Dennis Gentry. Number 83, the speedster Willie Gault, is back there. The Bears would like to see Gault handle the football. Jan Stenerud knows that. He'll try to get it into the hands of Dennis Gentry. Gault comes over across the field and steps in front of it. Good special teams work. Gault taken out of bounds by Jay Carroll at the 20-yard line. A seesaw game back and forth. It was played close to the vest throughout the first half, and then this man came in the 3rd quarter, not expected to play, pinched nerve in the neck, back spasm throughout the week, traction in the hospital after the game this past Sunday against New England. Mike Ditka said he would not play unless there was a catastrophe. Well, there was an 8-point difference. The Bears down by 8 points. Early in the 3rd quarter, they put him in. 2 consecutive passes went for touchdowns. A 70-yarder, first of all, to Willie Gault, and then a 25-yard pass to McKinnon. And the crowd is stirred up here in the Metrodome. Well, I haven't seen this happen following a touchback. The crowd making so much noise, the Bears can't get the play underway at their own 20-yard line.
We may have a little anticipation by the crowd because the Minnesota fans have become accustomed over the years to this Viking team coming back when it seems as if they're out of the game and pulling it out for victory.
Tommy Kramer, he's had a big night. And like McMahon, he perhaps is not the character that McMahon is, but I can tell you one thing, Tommy Kramer plays this game 100% to win. He's a tough dude. He's paid the price over the years, over his 9-year career with a lot of injuries. Here's McMahon. They won't get him up to the line of scrimmage until he wants to go. He's like a Broadway actor. He's loving this. I'm running the show. First down. McMahon has the receiver wide open. It's McKinnon. McKinnon having a brilliant night, as is McMahon. 45-yard reception. The free agent out of Florida State 3 years ago. That's Rufus Bess. Well, turning him over to a zone man who never got there.
Well, if you're going to play a guy tight in a zone, you should bump him. I think Rufus should have bumped him. It would have given Joey Browner a little more time to get into his area.
First down, the Bears. Inside the 35-yard line. Clock ticking away. Inside 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Payton. And Payton up close to another Bear first down. Chris Martin made the stop. We'll pause 5 seconds and allow our friends along the line to identify themselves. The Metrodome, 186 feet high to the floor below, and it's seen a lot of action tonight. Two Central Division opponents, Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. It's been a seesaw battle, a tough, hard-hitting game, and it was blown wide open by Jim McMahon when he came in the third quarter and on consecutive passes, hit for 2 touchdowns, came back moments later and hit a third. He's 7 of 12, 230 yards, and he's played a little more than a quarter of the game. Gentry is in for Walter Payton. That time McMahon goes down. Hustling Scott Studwell was there, along with Neil Elshire.
Well, that definitely was a cross-up or a foul-up on McMahon's part or one of the 2 running backs. The play looked like it was supposed to go to the left, and someone missed the handoff.
McMahon looks over. He gets the plays called into him, nods his head in agreement. Steps in the huddle and does precisely what he wants to do. There was a loss of a couple of yards. His third and a long 2 for the first. Chicago obviously having a tough time on third and short yardage. McMahon looks over the defense. He probably saw something that was not anticipated. Other than blow a possible first down here, he takes timeout. And we do too. We'll be back. Looking forward to watching Eric Dickerson up in Seattle in his 1985 debut. Quick count by McMahon. On 3rd and 3, gets it to Marjoram. Marjoram has the first down for the Bears at the 21-yard line. Rufus Bess, the defender. McMahon likes that quick count.
Now that was a good read too that time. He went over there, was one-on-one coverage with Bess, and just enough yardage to pick up that first down.
What that quick count does, and the Vikings like to do it perhaps more than many teams in the NFL. They like to deal with those defensive down linemen, and they've been playing 4 of most of the night. And when you go on a quick count and you get an outside-inside deal, in other words, Doug Martin may be going around Newton in the middle on the pass rush, well, that will give McMahon a lot of extra time. He's been going with it many times tonight. Oh. Payton bobbles the ball and holds on to it. And he'll lose a yard. Flag is down. 6:55 remaining in the game. Very busy Dick Jorgensen tonight. His holding is a preliminary indication, working against the Bears. Here's Dick Jorgensen as Mike Ditka talks it over with Willie Gault.
Number 62, offense, still first down.
Mark Bortz over on the left side, the left guard. Play comes in, sent in by Mike Ditka. Bears a week from Sunday will meet the Washington Redskins at Soldier Field in Chicago. We're going to watch the Bears twice more on our schedule. We'll see them October 21st at Green Bay, and we'll see them December the 2nd in Miami. The Vikings a week from Sunday will be at Buffalo as Jim McMahon is back. First and long yardage. Ooh, and Willie Gault got turned around. That ball was almost caught for him on his wrong side, I do believe.
Yeah, I don't think Gault really saw the pass. I don't think he was ever able to pick up the ball, the flight of the ball.
Ball is thrown right about here. It's in the air. Galt with that great speed. Looks back. He looked back. He just lost it somewhere.
Yes. It was a catchable pass.
2nd down and 20. Could have been coming right out of the lights. Man, I'll tell you, he is really stoked up. He tried to force that one in. Carl Lee was the defender back there. I'll tell you, when you're having the kind of a night or a day that McMahon has, you feel like a magician out there, don't you, Joe?
Oh, sure. You feel like you can get anything in there. That time, I believe Carl Lee, he's covering Brad Anderson, and he just simply had no respect for the deep pattern that time. I don't know whether I guess he's not afraid of Anderson's speed, but he was certainly tight on him.
I would think they would be thinking, Mike Ditka should be thinking, get it in a little closer. We've got a 3rd and 20, but let's get 10 more and give our field goal kicker a better opportunity. They're only 6 ahead. They like to stretch it.
He's got a lot of running.
McMahon is thinking the same thing.
He's thinking 1st down.
He is looking for 1st down. He doesn't get it, but he gets inside the 15 to about the 13. It's going to make things far easier for the field goal kicker, Kevin Butler, and here he comes. Butler missed the last one from 35 yards out. A rookie from Georgia. Set an NCAA record for most attempts. 98 while he was at Georgia. Also set a record for field goals made at 77. Fine kicker. This will be an attempt at 31 yards. Fuller is the holder. Hilgenberg on the snap. And this time the rookie from Georgia puts it through the uprights. 4 field goals tonight for Kevin Butler. And the one missed from 35 yards out. And now the Bears can breathe a little more easily. 5:35 remaining, and they now have a 9-point lead.
That bad snap by Huff on that field goal attempt by Minnesota is beginning to loom bigger and bigger.
Mike Ditka gets them together on the sidelines. That's the special teams. The kickoff unit. Telling him Butler who he wants him to kick it to. Meanwhile, a game of football chess being played out on the other side. Bud Grant huddled up with his special teams unit. Bud Grant, in 17 years with the Vikings, he took over in 1967. 11 Central Division titles, the 4 Super Bowls in which he never was a victor. Retired after 83. Ostensibly to get a little more out of life. Loves to hunt, loves to fish, loves the outdoors life. Was away for a year. The Vikings fell to 3-13. Max Winter, the president of the Vikings, went to him and asked him to come back. He wouldn't do it until Les Steckel was fired. And on the 3rd time they asked him, he said he would do it. I talked with Max before the game. I asked him about the contract, and he said there's open end. The reports are in the neighborhood of $500,000 a year. Open end meaning lifetime, really, for Bud Grant. Lester Rhymes is back.
Now, Frank, those are very impressive statistics considering he blew a first kickoff.
Sure is. A rookie from Oklahoma. Oh, Buster Rhymes.
Oh,
Another good return. Great effort on the part of Buster Rhymes, George Rhymes, a 4th-round draft pick. And the Vikings are at the 43-yard line of the Bears. 57-yard return. Those figures were impressive before he ran it back. They are much more impressive now.
some guys just have the knack. They can see the whole field. He accelerates at the right time. He has a good feel for the field. He cuts back against all of the flow. Got some very nice blocks. Minnesota has always been one of your finer special teams. Buster Rhymes is earning his salary tonight.
Ball at the 43-yard line. First down. That's Leo Lewis, the top of your screen. The speedster Anthony Carter split to the right. Kramer wants Carter. And good defensive play on the part of Mike Richardson against Anthony Carter.
That was not a good pass by Kramer. If he would have thrown that ball out there instead of trying to hit Carter on the line with that pass, Carter could have run under it because he was open. See, Carter's going to have to wait for this ball. This ball is thrown like a shorter pass. It's thrown on the line. And the defender was going through the ball, and that's a good example of those liberalized passing rules now.
That's what the crowd was booing about, that Richardson was playing the ball. No flag. It's 2nd down and 10. 5:15 remaining. Kramer back again. Fires this time underneath, and Jordan coughs it up. Picked up in stride. Wilber Marshall of the Bears comes up with it. Steve Jordan had the football momentarily, bobbled it, and Wilber Marshall took it in full stride, and the Bears get it back.
Don Rivera made the hit on that play that caused the fumble. It didn't look like he really had good control of the ball. He was just trying to get it put away. And here you see Don Rivera coming in and laying a good lick on. The helmet hit the ball and just knocked it free.
And in full stride was Wilber Marshall, so the Bears get the ball back at their own 45-yard line. Second interception, and the second fumble of the night. And there is Marshall, second-year man out of Florida. In that lineup because of the holdout on the part of linebacker Al Harris. This is Chicago Bear football. Get the turnover. This is Matsui. Matsui will have a first down. That will keep the clock moving, and now the Bears are vitally interested in the clock ticking the seconds off.
Yes, sir. It looks like, well, the Vikings will need 2 scores to pull this game out, and that's exactly what the Bears want to do now, is run that clock.
Matsui, we've said it a couple times tonight, but he had a great career at Penn State. Father Steve was an All-American at Penn State and played with the Steelers. Kind of runs in the family. Matsui really kind of subordinates his own talent to the great talent of Walter Payton. I don't see him carrying the ball that much. A tremendous blocker. Nifty little receiver out of the backfield. We're talking about number 26, Matsui. Matsui works it inside the 40-yard line. A gain of 4. It'll bring up 2nd down and 6. Chris Martin on the stop. Payton, as we also said earlier, came into tonight's game with a couple of very sore ribs, so it could be that is one of the reasons we are seeing Matsui carry the ball a little more often than he usually does.
Well, when you're averaging 5.7 yards a carry.
Why not, huh? Second down and 6. Matsui once again. He'll have another first down for the Bears. Chris Martin made the stop. The Vikings still have an opportunity, but the Bears, when they brought Jim McMahon off the bench, it just turned everything around. Stepped in there, if you weren't with us, the very first play, he never even saw the completion as he was buried, but he stepped back and on his very first attempt and went 70 yards to Willie Gault. The next time he put the ball in the air, he went 25 yards to Dennis McKinnon, and has really sparked this Bears football team both offensively and defensively. Really giving the Bears defense a lift. Walter Payton inside the 30-yard line, held for 3. 2nd down and 7. And OJ, I know they don't bring him out of many ball games, but he's a little bit hurt coming into this one. What do you think about him staying on like this?
Well, up until now that we're about 2.5 minutes to go in the game, I think I'd take Walter off the field at this point.
I don't know that Walter would go off the field at this point, knowing him.
Walter.
I mentioned he's made a mini career out of the Vikings at the very top of the show. The most yards he's ever gained against one team has been the Vikings, and nearly 2,000 of his 13,000 plus have been made against the Vikings in 19 previous games. Matsui for a couple. It'll be 3rd down and 6. But Walter Payton has had to step back tonight as Jim McMahon has moved out front and center with some brilliant heroics coming in the 3rd quarter. 2-minute warning. We'll be right back. And And the man who brings up the Bears is totally responsible, Jim McMahon. He really sparked this football team in the third quarter. Vikings thinking blitz. Payton over the right side. Down he goes. Martin was there along with Doug Martin for the stop. It'll be 4th down, and we should see Kevin Butler once again. He's already kicked 4 for tonight. This will tie the Chicago Bear record. The rookie from Georgia taken in a 4th round pick, Roger LeClaire, and Mac Percival have 5 field goals for the Bears over their long and storied history. Kevin Butler looking to tie a Bear record, an attempt of 45 yards. Nope, hooks it to the left as he did from 35 yards out a little earlier. So the Vikings now have 1:50 remaining. They trail 33-24. They have 2 timeouts. Kevin Butler, I doubt if he even knows that he could have lodged himself in the Bear record book. Remarkable career, as I've touched on a couple of times already tonight. He had a 60-yarder against Clemson last year, so we know he has the distance. "27-yard line. Vikings have a 1st and 10. They trail by 9. They have the 4 wide receivers in: Mike Jones, Anthony Carter, Buster Rhymes, who's had a spectacular night, and Leo Lewis. Kramer. And this is when the Bears really pin their ears back. That was Otis Wilson coming on the blitz. He was there. Richard Dent was there. And the loss is all the way back to the 19-yard line.
Otis has been relatively quiet tonight. I haven't called his number myself very often. First time I've seen him get in on a tackle, really.
Seconds ticking away. Tommy Kramer from the shotgun. 2nd down, long yardage. That time Kramer did get the time, throwing deep, trying to get it to Leo Lewis. Almost picked off. Durison had a shot at it and couldn't handle it. Stops the clock with 1:34 and brings up 3rd down and 18. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is prohibited. Long yardage. It's tough against the Bears. They average 1 sack in every 7 opponents' attempt a year ago. Oh! Underthrown. Buster Rhymes, intended receiver. It'll be 4th down and long, and we presume that Tommy Kramer will stay on. With 1:30 remaining.
That ball was underthrown, but it was a catchable ball. Unfortunately, Buster wasn't watching. Would have been a 1st down, too, if he'd have turned around and caught it.
That is unfortunate when your receiver doesn't watch, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, you say, we're going to have a little talk about this later on.
Well, Buster Rhymes has had a spectacular night. He's made a couple of great catches, and he's been tremendous running back kickoffs. 4th down. Bears bring 3 in a deep prevent. Oh, wide open and stepping out of bounds with the 1st down is Leo Lewis out near the 40-yard line, and sometimes that prevent can, you just want to stuff it, really.
Now, but the most important thing for the Bears right now, I know what their defensive thinking is. They do not want to allow a man to get behind him.
Absolutely,
go ahead and catch everything in front of me.
It's so frustrating to watch sometimes. You do so well with your ordinary defense, and then you drop into something special, into the half, into the game, and just like that, Leo Lewis gets the 1st down. Kramer in and out of the hands of Mike Jones. It'll be 2nd down. Wilbur Marshall back there defending against Jones.
Well, we can't count out Minnesota at this point, but it certainly appears as if they're going to lose this game. But Joe, you said you were a little skeptical about this team. I think we all agree right now that this Minnesota team is for real, and they'll be in the thick of the race for the rest of this season.
Yes, I think so. They're a much, much improved football team over last year.
As I mentioned, we'll see him twice more. We'll watch him against Green Bay October the 21st, and we'll see him against Miami early December. The Bears will be watching, and the Vikes, of course, they move on to Buffalo. And another first down completion by Tommy Kramer, and it's Buster Rhymes. And there's two of the Vikes have Richard Dent down way upfield. They're back at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Richard Dent started a little ruckus. The clock is stopped, though. It was a smart move at one point.
Time has been called by the Vikings. Tommy Kramer is pointing out what I alluded to, that a couple, Richard Dent and one of the Vikings, was having a little bit of a duel at the 30-yard line.
Well, Dent was all over Ted Brown. He wouldn't let Ted Brown get up. And big Curtis Rouse came down and took Dent off of Ted Brown.
That's what's being explained to the official now. He was explaining that he wouldn't have had to use that timeout had not Richard Dent been holding Ted Brown on the artificial surface.
Smart move by old Richard.
No one's going to tell Tommy Kramer that he can't win this football game. You can tell it in his eyes. He's had a big night, but nevertheless, he trails 33-24. And it was a spectacular night for Jim McMahon, whom we did not expect to see.
58 seconds left. That's a lot of time. These guys can get another touchdown, and who knows, onside kick, boom, field goal, hello. 34-33 game.
Over the years, it's kind of been the trademark of these Minnesota Vikings, and there is Jim McMahon. Hey, they'd like him so much on this football team, his own teammates. Talking to Gary Finsick today, there was no doubt in his mind that McMahon was going to play. We got to the stadium, we received word from the Bears officials that he would not play unless there was a catastrophe. Well, they measure catastrophe, I guess, in Chicago by 8 points, because they stuck him in the third quarter when the Bears were 8 points down. He's thrown 3 touchdown passes on the night. The Bears at the moment rather comfortable, 58 seconds remaining, leading 33-24. First down, Vikings near the 40-yard line of the Bears. Kramer. That's Lewis. He was bobbling it on the way out of bounds. Leslie Frazier hit him. It'll be second down. Now we have a holding call. It'll work against the Vikings. Down remains the same, so it's first and 20. Kramer. Good move by Leo Lewis. Made it look like a full all-out sprint. Got the defensive back Leslie Frazier in a stride-for-stride duel, and then stepped to the outside. Not only gets the reception, but he gets the first down and stops the clock going out of bounds at the 29-yard line.
Can't say enough about Leo Lewis. We saw him come into his own in a game that we had him in last year. Caught about 6 or 7 passes in that game. He ended up their leading receiver with 47 receptions last year. Not a big kid, 5'8", 172 pounds, but he gets the job done. Smart player.
I let him go about 3 or 4 years ago and then brought him back, and he has really developed. Not big at all, 5'8", 172 pounder. 46 seconds remaining. Leo Lewis flipped to the right. It's Anthony Carter top of your screen. Kramer picked off. Otis Wilson. There he is, Joe. You said you haven't heard much of him.
Okay, Otis.
Intended for Leo Lewis. They went there too often. That ball was deflected, and Otis Wilson got it.
Well, that was a ball. If Leo would have gotten his head turned soon enough, he would have caught the ball, because the ball was right on the money.
Otis Wilson out of Louisville, University of Louisville.
Tommy Kramer back to the drawing board, and there's a look at Otis Wilson, the first-round draft pick back in 1980. Going to keep that football. The Bears get it back. Vikings have 1 timeout. Kramer leaves the game 26 of 55, 436 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. California has defeated the White Sox 8-0. And Seattle is beating Kansas City in the 9th inning 5-4. That could turn into a flat-footed tie as Jim McMahon goes down on one knee. The Vikings are not going to use their 1 timeout. And the man who turned this game into history was Jim McMahon. Bud Grant is back, however. The Vikings will fall to 2-1. The Bears will remain undefeated at 3-0. The team will watch twice more this year against Green Bay and then against Miami. For Mike Ditka, a good start here in 1985. The defending Central Division champions are 3-0. 24. Travel